Hello, everyone. Today is June 7th, 2021, and we are glad to be coming your way. This is the Progressive Mind Show. We are sorry for the late start in the show, but today is going to be a very interesting one as usual. Before we start the show, though, we would like to go to Captain Mike. He has some updates for us regarding the weather, sports, and health. So, my brother, please take it from here. Right after that, we shall be going to our guests to get into the discussion for this evening. Please bear with us as we get Captain Mike's segment going. Bro, it's been a great week, I think. I don't know about you.
Oh, absolutely. I like warm weather, and it's been fun. Tonight, right now, 77 degrees at Midway. We have mostly cloudy skies. Winds are out of the north at about 15 miles an hour. Gonna have some off and on rain for tonight. In certain areas, you may not get hit, and you may hear a little bit of thunder down to about 65 degrees. Winds are going to be out of the northeast. That's going to be common for the next couple of days. Tomorrow, it's going to be down to 67. So we definitely have a cool off. That cold front is moving through, and they're going to keep those winds out of the northeast. Same with Friday. High of 72, low of 60. Into Saturday, pretty much same thing. Not really looking at any type of thunderstorm, convective activity, but maybe some rain. And we'll call that again through Sunday, about 72 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Keep the 70s and a chance of rain with clouds and northeast winds till Tuesday. Then the heat is going to return, get up to about 77. We may get up to about 80 or so, a little above, but look out for that. Winds are coming out of the west and from the southwest on Wednesday. So that usually does tend towards warmer weather. So we're going to top out on Wednesday about 80 degrees. We may see some sun, and we may get a little warmer than 80, so look out for that. So it's going to be nice and cool in the 70s, 60s, and 70s throughout this week till next Tuesday and Wednesday till we return to the 80s. In sports, the Chicago Fire are taking on the Orlando Soccer Club at 7 p.m. at Soldier Field. The Sox beat the Twins, 6-1. And the Phillies are going to be in town tonight taking on the Cubs at about 7:05 p.m. in just about an hour from right now. In our health and fitness report, we're going to talk about something that affects a lot of us, myself including, and a lot of my family members. That's hypertension, also known as high blood pressure. So one thing we need to do, take your blood pressure regularly, get it checked, and get it checked professionally by your doctor or healthcare provider. And they can also lead you towards some home machines that can take your blood pressure. Make sure you get your doctor recommends certain ones, because all aren't the same. All aren't as good as others. So when you take the pressure, the top number measures the pressure on your arteries when your heart beats, and on the bottom number that measures the pressure when your heart is at rest between beats. You can have high blood pressure and not even know it. So uncontrolled high blood pressure can cause serious health problems, including strokes and heart attacks. And usually when you have high blood pressure, like I said, it's undetectable until it may be too late. So some of your risk factors, age, as we get older, unfortunately we are, you're going to have more problems with possibly with your blood pressure. If you're Black, we tend to have higher blood pressure in the community. Your family history, overweight, if you're not active, if you're using tobacco. And remember, on this show, stop smoking. We don't like smoking. Nothing good comes of that. Too much salt, too little potassium, too much alcohol, too much stress. Get that out of there. If you have sleep apnea, kidney disease, or diabetes, that can also lead to high blood pressure. Now, a normal reading is below 120 on the upper number. Elevated is between 120 to 129. Stage 1 hypertension, between 130 to 139, and stage 2 hypertension is bad, 140 or higher. Now, a hypertensive crisis, if it's above 180, talk to your doctor or healthcare professional immediately. Something's going on, and you could possibly have permanent damage some type of way. 180 or above, get overweight. If you're not active, if you're eating, stop blood pressure or keep it within a normal range. 1, eat healthy. Eat a healthy diet and try to limit your salt intake. 2, get regular physical activity. Join the gym. Go run now. It's summertime. Go play volleyball. Find an activity you like and then you can do. 3, maintain a healthy weight. Know your healthy weight for your height and age and try to stay within those limits, and limit your alcohol. And if there are any questions, definitely talk to your doctor or your healthcare provider. And with that, Sina, we're going back to you.
Thank you so much, Captain Mike, for the updates as usual. You come in and you deliver. We are so glad to have you. Before we let you go, it's been a little bit that you gave us updates regarding the airline industry. I know things are pretty much cleared up now. I think we're done with COVID, right? Looks like it. At least it feels like it. So, okay, what's up? What's up with that?
Well, right now we're about 75% of the capacity as we had 2 years ago. So yeah, we're on that trajectory. We're getting there. But now you're watching the news. You may want to be a little concerned about that new Delta variant and some rising cases. So it's still out there. So be healthy, be safe. Talk to your doctor, get the vaccine if it's right for you, and still maintain a healthy distance from people and maintain the healthy lifestyle and prevention. We do wash your hands and be careful out there.
My brother, thank you once again. And it's about what, 75 degrees out there. Yeah. Weather is still awesome. No, actually, I missed it. Not 75, it was 75. I went to the burbs when I was coming, but it's about 82 there about right now. Yeah, 82 degrees out
there. Moving in, and we're going to have
okay.
Cool off. We're going to have a cool.
Okay, excellent. All right, then. My brother, once again, have a wonderful evening. We're sure to see you next week, Wednesday. Till then, get some beer, man.
Take care.
All right, thank you. That was Captain Mike with his segment. We appreciate the brother for always coming through with his brilliant updates. We hope that you pick something there that would be beneficial to you and your family. This evening, we want to go straight to our guest to get into the reason why we're here. Please share the feed now. We want to take this short break. When we come back, we should definitely do our due diligence. Do our due diligence, of course, for our reason being here this evening. Please. We're back, and this is the Progressive Mind Show. My name is Sena, aka Alinko. Once again, hello everyone. Hello, Progressive Minds Show family. Today we are very excited to become your way because we have a very important show in which we will be talking about the social and political climate of Liberia, specifically from 1821 to present, as you have seen it on the flyer. We have the royal lineage of Prince Abdul Rahman in the studio with us. But please bear with us. We shall get to the thick of things in a few minutes. As I said, we will be looking at the social and political climate of Liberia, as well as diving into the history around the 1820s and how it has paved way to the current state of Liberia. We are fortunate to be joined, as I mentioned, by a loyalty. He is a direct lineage, a great-great-great-grandson of Prince Abdul Rahman of the United States and Liberia. We shall get into it. Doctor, in the presence of GAYE. We should have had the president of Gulf of Guinea as our co-guest, but he's not. As our second guest, sorry, but he's not here with us. So we shall try and continue the conversation. But Mr. J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. is the president and CEO of Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency. He's also the former administrator and PFSO for the China Union Liberia Ore Mining Company. We'll be dissecting the different important aspects of Liberian government to get a better or greater understanding of the country, and also look at Liberia and its connectivity / relation to the African-American community, African-American people here in the United States. My guest this evening, as mentioned, is Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. My brother, he's also an adjunct professor at Loyola University. He's an author, he's a grant writer, a community guy, great guy, working on his PhD. Brother, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're welcome once again to the Progressive Mind Show. I think we
Call
had.
me. So again,
Sorry, go ahead. We
yeah,
can hear you.
Lester just called me, and
Uh,
he's asking for us to link him. He just arrived from Guinea.
okay.
Yes. So if you can manage to help me out to link him, he will
Yeah.
be happy. He just arrived, and there is a dark. I mean, there's a blackout in Liberia right now.
Okay.
So he was delayed at the airport, so he's headed home. He's home now. So
Okay.
please help me to get him linked. So the
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, but
Okay.
he's right.
We shall definitely try to do so. It's very, very
Yeah,
important that we get.
it's very important to get him. Yeah.
You know, he's all the way in Liberia, as you mentioned. He's an international man too, and
Yes.
due to his movements back and forth, but we're going to work on that.
Thank you.
Whilst we are doing it, we want you to please tell our audience who Dr. ARETMUS GAYE is. For those of us in Chicago, we know you, but you are a direct lineage. You are a direct great-great-grandson of Prince Abdul Rahman. Briefly tell us who Prince Abdul Rahman is, and then you can authenticate your lineage to him. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Again, let me welcome everybody on this show and this young brother, Sina, who has taken the mantle to share our stories, our narrative, the meta narrative. And I say meta narrative because it's not limited to a special country, but to all of us. And that is very important because it's very easy to be caught up what we call tribal politics, religious politics. But Sinai, you've made it a story about all of us, our diversities, our connectivities, and above all, our humanity. So again, I want to thank you so much for making this show to happen. And it's so important. This show is happening at a historical time and date. Time and date. When we know this week, this moment in history, Black folks from this United States of America, they were denied citizenship. They say, hey, we need to be free and do something. And it was out of that information, they were able to create what today we know as the second oldest independent nation of the world, a Black nation. And I mean that world well, because Haiti, and let us pay homage to Haiti. Today, Haiti is going through a tough time, but it will interest you to know, and let me tell all my Haitian brothers and sisters, the story is our story. We feel your pain. We know what it means to have political chaos. We know what it means to have economic chaos. It shouldn't be this way. So Haitians, please know, we look up to you because you understood what it meant to be free. It shook the roots of America, the highest of the echelons in this country, to know that Haiti's 1788 revolt, Louverture revolt, was a turning point in America's discourse on the history of what do we do to Africans, descendants of Africans who were caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. So I just want to lay that around and let us pray that democracy requires us voting our leaders, and our leaders should also know they are our servants. They should do all it takes to make sure our countries are run well. And let me also add here in this intro that I did my doctoral work at Loyola University. I taught at Benedictine University in Laos. I taught at St. Xavier University in not too far from Chicago, South Side. And I have always worked for Africa University in Zimbabwe, a school funded by a bishop of the Methodist Church, who became the first white bishop sent to Africa by the Methodist Church to help the continent. And out of his vision, a university was built that today has a network of almost $500 million, more money than even my own home country, Liberia, in the last 30 years.
The holidays are here. Wouldn't it be fun to have your children learn something new and exciting that is not taught in school? If yes, Kids Speak is what you
Hello?
and your
Yes,
child
I'm sorry. I think we had a technical issue, but please go ahead.
Yes. So having laid that information, I am ARETMUS GAYE. Usually, I love to be called by my first name. And I'm intentionally do that because why? I observe, I'm from a continent where people love the titles. Just call me by my first name, and I tell all my Mexican or my Latino friend, I'm called Kalusha because I kick with the left foot and I love to play soccer. So I tell them, call me Kalusha. In my community, yeah, people call me Prezo because I run the Liberian Association, work with the community group, and there's the president of the Prince Ibrahima and Isabella Freedom Foundation, which we're going to dive more into about what we do. So I just want to lay that around, and also to let you know it's important today's date. This day in history is a history of what African Americans did in 1821 to form a country, and I will talk more about it as we go through this show.
Wow, that is a very solid foundation you have laid there, my brother. I know you. I know most people in the community call you ARETMUS, and you prefer that, but I'm used to calling you Dr. ARETMUS. So please pardon me. Let me just so I can be free. Let me be free, my brother.
Please be free.
And you rightly importantly mentioned the assassination of the Haitian president. We just want to wish his family all our condolences, and we extend our regards to our warmest greetings and condolences again to the country, the citizens of Haiti. And we ask that the good Lord grant you all comfort. May his soul rest in peace. May his soul definitely rest in peace. We don't know the motives behind it, but as the days unfold, perhaps we will learn more. It's difficult times for everyone, and it's a difficult time for the people of Haiti. So we would want to take a few seconds in acknowledgement of the falling of the president of Haiti. May his soul rest in peace. We shall be right back. Okay, we are back to the show. Again, this is the Progressive Minds. If you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, please share it. Facebook is Progressive Minds. YouTube is the Progressive Mind Show. Please share the feed now to your friends and our community, because what we're about to discuss is very, very important. We are looking and talking to a direct lineage of the great Prince Abdul Rahman, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. He has given a background of himself, what he does, his community, some of the work he's involved in. But we want to know a bit more background of why we are here, which is linked to his great ancestor, his royalty, Prince Abdul Rahman. Tell us about this man and his significance to the African American community and to Liberia.
Thank you so much, Ingo. I appreciate this show. And it's important that we tell our story because today, this month, we just knew that in history, based on facts, that the prince enslaved for 40 years lost his life on July 6, 1829 in Monrovia, Liberia. And the story is not just an African story. It's a human story. It's a world story. It's a narrative that is connected to every part of who we are. So Abdul Rahman was born in 1762 in what is now known as Guinea, in the royal palace in what we call Timbo. He was part of two of the most powerful Fulani ethnic clans, the Afayas and the Surias. And my Fulani brothers and sisters can tell more about this than me. but at least from a historical point, these two clans were what ran one of Africa's oldest royal groups. In fact, the Fulanis are also in Ghana. They are also in Nigeria. They are called in Nigeria the Hausas. So there's a guy called Usman Danfodio. He once ran the largest, hear the word, the largest empire ever in all of the world. It stretched from the Sokoto Empire all the way to Senegambia. So the Fulanis were very powerful people. They were also tied to the Islamic culture. You hear my words, the Islamic culture. I didn't say Islamic, I didn't say religion. They were, you know, sometimes we have to understand the difference between culture and religion. But it was all part of what became Africa. And this is the important part of this discussion tonight, because we're going to learn the role of religion and the role of enculturation of a people. So part of that history saw this young man who was born in 1762 to the great king in known as Suri Maudo. And he was born at a time of turmoil in Africa.
Mm.
The transatlantic slave trade had taken place. There was a struggle between the two clans, the Afayas and the Surias. This young man, at the age of 2, his father, the great king Suri Maudo, was deposed. He was forced to flee when his young Abdul Rahman was 2 years old.
Mm.
Put yourself in that stage. A 2-year-old kid. Don't even know who your name is. You even know what you eat. His father and his army were forced to flee only because he was accused of not fighting a war that also had connection to slavery, also had connection to economic empowerment of his people. Mind you, Africa had been caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. And this is a reality that Africans all must realize. Our ancestors were involved in slavery because it became the window of power and authority. It became the window of economic dominance, trading with who? Europeans. For guns, for tobacco, for alcohol, and the ability to pretend to protect you. This was where the young Prince Abdul Rahman was born. But his father, Surya, was able to regain power, and the young prince would soon head to Guinea and later to Timbuktu, the famous Sankore University in Mali, where he will learn astronomy, math, the sciences, various languages, the essence of war and peace, and will come back to his kingdom as a Conan, will come back as a married man, and will help to secure the peace of his people, but will soon become the victim of the circumstances in which he will be enslaved along with 200 of his trusted men and brought over to a 1,620-mile journey to Mississippi via the Senegambia, Haiti, very Haiti, Hispaniola, Brazil, and will end up landing up in Algiers, current day Louisiana, and then headed to Natchez, Mississippi, where he will stay and meet this beautiful woman called Isabella. Isabella, who I love so much in my heart. If there was a way that we could see her again, I would be so happy. But when you see me, when you see an African American in the South, see Isabella in them, especially our sisters, our mothers, our aunties. She
Mm.
became the first Black woman, hear my word, and you can authenticate this, to ever be called a doctor or a doctress. in my word, the first Black woman ever in a document called a doctor or a doctress. She had learned the skills from Africa through her parents. She knew what it meant to heal the community, whether it was an outbreak of cholera, of yellow fever. This lady, all records shown, and she was able to save her plantations. Wherever she lived, there is no document to show that anyone from her plantation died from yellow fever when the white folks and the enslaved population were dying. So I mention her name because she's special to us, especially with the outbreak of COVID-19.
Mm.
I received just today, to let you know, over 50 oxygen generators and oxygen concentrators for Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. So I want to dedicate this day also to her. But without her, she outlived Abdul Rahman. So I want to mention her name because she's special in our narrative.
And she is the first wife of Abdul Rahman.
Actually, the second wife of Abdul Rahman.
Okay.
And I will let you know quickly. Before Abdul Rahman was enslaved at the age of 25, he was a colonel in his father's army. They fought a war against the Bambara, a very powerful group of Africans who I love so much because they are from Mali. They were the first group of people who knew the difference between, they knew long before they, again, I want to say the myth of the creation story, that the earth was part of a solar system. The Bambaras were very good in astrology. They knew there were 360 days in a year. They knew that there were also 12 months in the year, and they were so good. And that have been authenticated. So I want whoever listening tonight, Google the name Bambara, the Bambara people of Africa. These people were so good. They knew everything, way before what we know from the Europeans. So I just want to lay that. But he had to fight them because of the same slave issue, fighting to gain power. And we know what happened at the war with the Bambara. But he was caught up with a group of people who we discovered in our new book, they were called the Hebrew, Hebbo. The Hebrew were a group of radicals who have learned to inculturate Islam, traditional African religion, and they had a strong sense of conservatism. And they were the ones that in the battle with him were able to capture him along with his final soldiers, and they took the 1,620 miles journey from Africa, meaning Guinea, all the way to Natchez, Mississippi.
Wow. 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 What a great story. What a great story so far. We have a fair understanding of the beginnings or the origin of Prince Abdul Rahman before his landing on the soils of the USA, the United States. Now, help us establish your lineage to him and to his family.
Beautiful. Prince Abdul Rahman, as we said, spent 40 years in these United States.
Mm.
He was brought on the plantation called Greenwood Plantation, or what we now refer to as the Foster Fields, in Natchez, Mississippi, with one of his trusted, of all of the soldiers he came with, he landed with his own trusted guy, the one who stood at his side in the battle, called Samba. And I also want to encourage people to Google the name Samba. That name is a misnomer within African American folks. But Samba, the closest general or closest confidant of Abdul Rahman, was brought over along with Abdul Rahman on the Greenwood Plantation. And he was bought by a man, John Stock of South Carolina, bought him. And John Stock was a friend of some of the most powerful leaders of American history. And that would include the man named Andrew Jackson. John Stock and Andrew Jackson were, in fact, business partners selling human beings.
Hmm.
You know, you hear Andrew Jackson, Donald Trump's favorite friend. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be political, but I want to mention that because Andrew Jackson was the one responsible for what we know today as the massacres of the Native Americans from Florida to Louisiana. So it's no wonder that we found out in our narrative that John Stark, the man who sold Isabella to Thomas Foster, will actually be a friend of Andrew Jackson, one of the favorite presidents within American history, Andrew Jackson. In fact, he's a founder of the Democratic Party. So let me add that here, to be fair to history. He's the forerunner of the Democratic Party in American history. But to go further, the young man, Abdul Rahman, and his favorite friend, they are all on this plantation, Greenwood, the backwood of the United States. And this prince comes to a place that is so small that where he came from, the Fuller Jalonqui kingdom, is far bigger and advanced than this place. Abdul Rahman, to remind everyone, is a Muslim. And also to add in this discussion, a quarter of the African enslaved people brought over to the New World were Muslims. 30 to 45%, or the rest of them actually, were all what we call traditional Africans. I refuse to use the word animist. They were traditional Africans. They knew what it meant to be religious. But Muslims, Jews, Christians call them savages or animists. So in this 200th anniversary of celebrating Abdul Rahman and the formation of Monrovia, Liberia, they were not animists, they were traditionalists. And I don't want us to move beyond this fact that they too knew their gods. They too knew their ancestors. And I believe to understand this part of our history will help us erase the misconceptions that we've had in the past. But moving further on this Greenwood plantation, Abdul Rahman was there when he had landed. He told Thomas Foster that he was a prince and that his father was so rich he would pay the ransom for him. Thomas Foster, hearing this, said he thought it was a fun. He said, "Oh, you all call yourself princes. I don't believe your story."
Right.
So he named him for that day. He called him Prince as a pejorative way of dealing with him. But Prince knew his essence. He knew his substance. The first day, one of the things of that particular group of the Fulani clan, he had to remove his hair, curly and dreadlock hair had to be cut off. It hurt the Prince. It was part of his pride. It was part of who he was.
Yeah.
Losing his hair, the Prince fled the plantation, and there was a group of what we call bounty hunters looking for him. They chased after the Prince for weeks. He couldn't be found. After the Prince realized this was not Africa, he was far away, far removed from Africa, he turned himself over to the wife of Thomas Foster on a day and put her feet on his neck. And according to my friend Terry Alford, and according to my friends within my own family people, my own Fulani African culture, it was a sign of humiliation. It was a sign of submission that he was going to accept his fate as an African and as a Muslim. Yes, there was his fate. He will live it to the end of his life.
Wow. Now, on that note, I know that you're probably getting a call. Maybe it might be from Leicester, right?
Yes.
Okay, I know. So we will take a short break. We sent him an email because we don't have his contact. Please let him know he can get all the information that he needs in his email. As we take this short break, let's try and see if we can get Leicester on the show this evening.
Thank you. Leicester need to be here. Yes, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it's a powerful story being shared so far by a grandson. Now, not literally, not direct grandson, but great
seventh generation.
Yeah. Second, yes. Seventh, right? Seventh.
Yeah.
Okay. 7th generation grandson of Prince Abdul Rahman. We will be coming back to the story. Please stay with us as we take this short break.
The holidays are here. Wouldn't it be fun to have your children learn something new and exciting that is not taught in school? If yes, Kids Speak is what you and your child need at this time. We are launching an online summer program that would help keep your kid busy.
Yep. Get on the link. Yeah.
Okay, back to the progressive. This is Alinko, and we are joined by Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, who is a 7th generation grandson of the great Prince Abdul Rahman, and we are talking about the history of Liberia from 1820s till present day. We're going to be connecting the story to the African American history, the African American community, and also get to know a little bit more about the current state of the Liberian economy, the politics, and how COVID-19 has affected them, and what ARETMUS GAYE, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, and his partner Lester CHEAPOO, who should be joining us hopefully, are doing in this area regarding helping the country recover from the impact of COVID-19. Dr. ARETMUS GAYE has been laying down the foundation of Prince Abdul Rahman and his connectivity. I think we got to the point where we trying to connect him and how he's directly linked to this great man, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. Please continue from where we left off.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working with Lester.
I know.
Yeah.
How is it going with him?
He's gonna call. I sent the link, so he's working on it.
He's working on that. Okay.
Hopefully, he's listening also to the show. Yeah, while he's working on it.
Okay.
You got the Skype information you sent him. So,
okay. Good. Good. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So here we are at the plantation called the Foster Field, Greenwood, and at Greenwood Plantation, Abdul Rahman is there with his trusted aide, Sambo, and they are at that plantation, and there we have the prince escapes, and after being chased, this guy he's a corner. He's a trained military man.
Yeah.
They sent everyone to get him. They can't get him. He decided to come home. He decided to surrender.
To return back to the plantation.
The plantation. And shockingly, with the head of the plantation and the matriarch of that plantation, she's shocked. She thinks that he's gonna kill her. He said, "No, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna surrender. This is my fate. I accept it, and I'm gonna move forward." There he works.
Before you continue, when he escaped and they couldn't capture him, when the bounty hunters couldn't capture him, slave masters couldn't capture him. I watched there's a story, there's a video, whole story on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon.
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Amazon
and
Prime.
they're not paying us. We got to demand our pay from them soon.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So when you watch the story, you know that he tried, of course, they couldn't capture him because he's a trained warrior. He knows what he's doing. But I think I'm trying to see why why he came back. Is it because he could not, there was no way he could literally escape and find his way back to Africa?
Exactly.
Because his desire was to come to Africa and not to just go into the north or anywhere else. And because he couldn't make it to Africa, he decided to come back home.
Exactly. He then understood his math. He understood his geography, and whatever was available to them. He realized he was far away from Africa.
Yes.
So it was the best thing to do to just come and just accept his fate, which is one of the virtues of Islam, and one of also a virtue of African traditional religion. He chose to surrender. At a time in life, we have to surrender when we know there's nothing else we can do. Yes, so that is clear.
Bob Marley said, if you when you Bob Marley said, trying to get it right. It's basically you live to fight another day. right? And
Yes, for another
so
day.
yeah, you live to fight another day. So when you're in battle, you don't necessarily have to, continue fighting even when you see that you are losing, and you have to, at some point you have to run. So at any point in time in life, you need to come to a decision or come to a point where you make that decision to retreat, regroup, and then come back. So I'm trying to get the exact phrase of what Bob Marley said. When I get it out, exactly what you said. It's something in this line, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's good, and that's true, because that's what faith is about. You got to accept it. It also it is a counter point towards the statement that says, "Oh, just go and give your life out because you need to." There are times for that, but the Pope understood what it meant to understand his culture, his history. So he knew that very well, and it's all part of training. It's a philosophy. It's a principle issue, because in life there's a point where you reach, you realize I can't make it. That means just make it my duty to move forward.
Lester is watching us, and let's please go to your email and then use the link we sent you. Okay, all you have to do is
see, I'm just going to show your face. So
Lester. Okay, I understand. You just use the email we sent you, click on the link, and then type your name, hit enter. I'll get you in the studio. I at this point we literally have to do that because that's what it's come to. So bear with us, audience. We just have to
keep working on what we're doing, because the show is going. You got a link, and I'm sorry, Leicester issue is what happening right now in the area. It's tough there. Lack of electricity, internet connectivity very bad. So he's got it. He managed to get it. He traveled, and so he's gonna get on. Leicester, I'm gonna continue to try to look at the link so I can get back to everybody.
Okay. Well, we are still talking about Liberia 1821 to present. We are here with Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. Please go ahead.
Okay, yes. So so he got to the plantation, and it didn't take too long that on the day there's a guy, Abdul Rahman, is enslaved at the Greenwood plantation. There he is working, accepting his fate, doing all he can do, realizing he still has his dignity. A prince, now a prince to pauper story.
Right.
He's no longer has any authority. What he eats, how he works, his freedom is in the hand of someone. His dignity has been reduced, but in his heart, he realized he is still a dignified person. So he's working with what life has thrown upon him. It is there because of his ability to return to the plantation. Thomas Foster, which interestingly, you will know, is of his same age. They are both 26 years old young men. Think about it. If someone gets you at the age of 26 and you are 26, he's your owner.
Yeah.
But Abdul Rahman accepts this fate.
Yeah.
And because of his submission, but there's something in this slave master's name in his head that this guy must have some value that is above himself. A backward guy. So he said, you know what? Let me do all I can do to please this man. There's something in his heart. So that's something troubles your spirit.
Yeah.
The African American spiritual will tell you his spirit is troubled. So one day in his heart, he started to think about, I need to do something. And who comes to his rescue? The business partner of one of America's favorite president and the favorite of the Republican Party to this date, Donald Trump, favorite president of Andrew Jackson's business partner, sells Isabella to Thomas Foster. I'm using his name because I want us to be able to connect to the past to the present.
There you go. Andrew Jackson sells Isabella to Thomas Foster.
So Andrew Jackson, business partner, John Stark, Stark, is Scottish American. sells Isabella to Thomas Foster. Don't
Who,
forget, I told you.
who is a
Thomas,
former president of this country?
yes, yes, exactly.
Of the U.S., yes.
Yes, the one responsible for the massacres of the Native Americans and also other issues within American politics. The man responsible for taking away in the same household where Isabella would have been. We have the information now to take his friend's wife away from him. I'm saying this because part of this American story to tell all of the story. It's what we call a meta narrative. But it's in that household that we learn that Andrew Jackson's friend sells Isabella. And Thomas Foster said, but this woman is beautiful. I think I can make peace on my plantation. Because the young man himself, 26-year-old guy, he did a matchmaking. And to Abdul Rahman's likings, he accepts this woman as his wife. But Thomas Foster, to his credit, did something incredible. On Christmas Day, 1778, will make the decision that Abdul Rahman and Isabella will be married on Christmas Day. This guy is smart. He's a businessman. He realizes by doing this, it will satisfy a lot of stuff. And that wedding was celebrated and sponsored by Thomas Foster and his family. And that plantation will thrive and become one of the most successful plantations within the Mississippi Delta.
Because of Abdul Rahman, because of Abdul Rahman and Isabella's
yes.
union.
Yes, this guy won the lottery. In a sense, he won the lottery. Mm-hmm. He has a woman who is a doctor in her own right. He has a guy who is a prince, but he pejoratively teases him until a fateful day in history.
Before you continue with the fateful day in history, was Isabella already a doctor? Is it a professional medical doctor or someone who practiced medicine at the time before being married to Abdul Rahman?
Yes, thank you. She had learned this art long before. In fact, she came from a place called in South Carolina, which I will later tell about it. It has a history to one of America's favorite segregationists. They were born in the same town. So she learned that craft. And this is very common. You from Ghana.
As an African slave.
Yes. No. In fact, Isabella is a first generation African American. Okay. Let us make this very clear. So it meant Isabella's parents were born in Africa. She was the first of the enslaved people to be born in America.
Excellent. And
the first generation.
Excellent. And then she learned the trade of medicine
from her parents.
From her parents.
One of her parents. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
So she leaves South Carolina and took a 700 miles journey to be sold to Greenwood Plantation in Mississippi.
To be sold.
And told Thomas Foster.
Now, was it a voluntary kind of sale, or she was captured and sold? Like, can you help us establish that?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. She was not sold by captivity.
Right.
She was instead a slave, a domestic slave, owned by John Stark, the business partner of Andrew Jackson.
Okay. Who then sells her to Thomas
Foster.
Okay. Thank you. I think I missed it. Go ahead.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So she sold, and in her sale, you got Lester. See Lester face.
Yeah, we got Lester. So we'll get to him in a bit. But story is very interesting.
Yes.
So continue.
Yes. So she sold to Greenwood Plantation, and then Thomas Foster is matchmaking.
Yeah. So we have two powerful houses on the plantation of Thomas Foster. So automatically, Prince becomes a leader. Him and his wife becomes the leader of the other slaves, and he uses his royalty, his skills, and his knowledge, and all of that to basically improve and grow the fortunes of Thomas Foster.
Yes, he does that. Thomas Foster is happy. Everyone is happy. But the young man, or the think about it. I you know, I'm older than him. I can think about age right now. I'm just the time we're talking about history. And he's thinking always about what can I do to keep my family together.
Right.
He marries Isabella. Now we in our new book called 500 Years, which we tell the story beyond 1619. His narrative is part of it. But we found a very interesting thing at the plantation. Prince Abdul Rahman and Isabella are basically the de facto leaders of the plantation.
Okay.
And in there, they are doing everything they can to help grow the plantation, knowing full well that their freedom is not tied to themselves. They are not even free. They realize, but he realizes that he got to do everything to take care of his family and also to please his boss, his slave master, unfortunately. 9 children are birthed between the prince and this beautiful doctor, this beautiful matriarch at the plantation at Greenwood in Natchez, Mississippi. So one day, because he is able to negotiate within his slave situation. One day he decides, in the part of that negotiation, every Sunday he has a chance to go and sell his wares, his food, whatever he grew on his own plots of land. And there, this remarkable story took place. On that day, while he is in the market, a white man sees him, recognizes him, gives him a hug. A situation that had never happened before between a black man and a white man, especially with the arranged relationship of a slave and a master. There, people are shocked to see this white man embracing a black man. Everyone is watching and they are shocked. It is the Irish doctor, the surgeon, who we will later find out was on board of a ship, which we have found out the name of the ship. While he was there, why did he become a surgeon on that ship? His name was Dr. John Cox, an Irish man who had gone on board of a slave ship. The ship was a slave ship. But what happened, he was left behind, and Abdul Rahman's family rescued him.
Okay. On that rescued him notes, let's take a moment to welcome J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. to the show. My brother, can you hear us? Good.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm overwhelmed. I'm happy. I'm glad to be part of the show. I'm hearing you guys very well.
Okay.
I want to say thanks. I highly appreciate it. It took me some time to get on board the talk show, but I'm happy because I'm on board. And I just got in. But there's a saying that says, "A better late than never."
Yes.
And I think, we can continue from there. But I'm happy that I'm on board. Thanks so much. And thanks to the listening audience. And thanks to the organizing committee for making this show a successful one. We want to say thanks. Once again, I'm J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr., President, CEO, Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency, former Director for Visa and Passport Evaluation at the Chinese Embassy, former Administrative Manager, China Union, the iron ore mining company in Liberia. And also, we have extended our working in Guinea. And we signed an agreement with the Prime Minister uh, Abubakar Sedi Diallo, and we want to say thanks. We appreciate it, and thanks to Dr. Gay, and thanks to the team and you and everyone. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. We're glad to have you on in the midst of all the technical glitches, and this show will continue as we have had Dr. ARETMUS GAYE narrate the story of Prince Abdul Rahman, and we also at this point. So, Dr. GAYE, we would come to you very soon, Lester, to hear about the Gulf of the
Guinea Fishing Agency.
Yes, Guinea Fishing Agency. But before that, want Dr. ARETMUS to quickly, if you can, from where he rescues this white man story, if you can link, at what time did you come to find out as a person that, oh, this great man is my ancestor, is my great ancestor?
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. So because otherwise we'll be here for 40 years.
It's a powerful story.
Yeah.
So
yes, so they're gonna watch it soon. They're gonna see a little film of it.
We'll talk about that project actually, right?
Yes, right. So here we are at the Civil War, Liberia, talking about 1989. The eve of Christmas, Liberia descends into chaos.
Now, I want you to connect it from where you realize, where he rescues this white man. Just wrap it up. Where he rescues him. And when he rescued him, what happened next, and then you can get into the story of how you're connected to him. But when you realize, we have a caller. Let's try and see if we can get through this caller, and then we'll come back to you. Caller, please tell us your name and why you're calling. Hello. Hello, caller. Can you hear us? Okay, so it looks like I think the name is Robert. Mr. Roberts, can you hear us? Okay, they can not hear at this moment, and so we would hello, caller, can you hear us? Okay, we can hear the caller at the moment, so go ahead, Dr. ARETMUS.
Okay, yes. So this event at the marketplace on a Sunday, Abdul Rahman meets this guy, and it is a strange first time event, and everyone is shocked. But this is a story of him. In some time back, when Abdul Rahman was a young kid, 17-year-old, this white guy came to Africa, got lost, left behind by his own people. And the soldiers of Abdul Rahman's father rescues him and brings him to the kingdom in Futa Jalom. He's not ill-treated. He's given his humanity. He's given all of the support. He's now back to health. And there, Dr. Cox is treated so well. Mm-hmm. After a year or two, he tells the king, King Maudo, that he wants to return to his people. The king gave him the permission. There is even a debate that he may have married one of the daughters of the king, and he left. So that story is told. We documented it. I think my friend Terry Alford and to others who've been writing on this story.
Okay.
But it is important to note that upon his return, he is accorded all of the gifts as we do in Africa. You know, if I visit in Ghana, I'm not going to leave your house with all you give me some gifts.
Right.
So that's what he was given when Dr. Cox returned. So Dr. Cox decided, upon the fact that he knew that this was his friend, he went to Thomas Foster for the first time for him to realize that the prince he thought was pejoratively a prince was an actual prince, an actual royal person. And because of knowing that fact, that I think Dr. Cox created more problem for Abdul Rahman by letting Thomas Foster know that his prized enslaved person was an actual prince. So Thomas Foster told Dr. Cox he could never free this man. That's why he had realized the value that he owned a prince. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that's why Abdul Rahman, I told some of my Guinean friends and family members, I think that's why Abdul Rahman spent so long in slavery.
Right.
Because Thomas Foster was a businessman, an American businessman. He knew his value. And because of that, Thomas Foster refused to let go of the prince.
Wow.
And he might have been right. Because why? Why would you let go of this man who had already had kids on the plantation?
How many
who had a family?
How many kids did they have at the time?
Nine children by Isabella.
Okay.
So she was quite a nine.
There are 9 kids about Isabella. Were there other women that he had kids with that you know of? That history?
We and it's good you ask that question, because as I travel to Mississippi, Louisiana, I'm finding out and know the inventory of the plantation of the enslaved people, how they were distributed by Thomas Foster, who, as I said, who we're going to learn, some of his descendants were actually governors of the state of Louisiana.
Okay.
We knew that he might have had some kids by some other women. Yes. So
okay.
So today, basically, if I would tell you how many living descendants of this prince, I might be clear to say maybe 500,000 African Americans are direct descendants of Prince Abdul Rahman and Isabella.
Did you say 500,000?
Yes.
Wow, that's about 500,000 people, direct lineage of Prince Abdul Rahman.
Yes. And that is 4 years before the independence of the United States of America, when he came to this country.
No, you said 40 years.
No, 4 years before America's independence. 1776.
Okay. So at the time, before 4 years before America's independence, you said he had 500,000?
No, he had been here. So I'm counting the time from American independence, because he was basically here at a very early age of the independence of this nation.
Exactly. Wow.
Think about that now.
Now, wow. So again, establishing your. Well, at what point in time did you find out? You were born in Liberia, is that correct?
I was born in Liberia. A young man. Liberia descending into chaos. A country that had 130 years of unbroken relationship with the African American hegemony. I used the word African American, but in Liberia there was a term called Americo-Liberians.
Okay.
And then there's also another term called Congo, CONGO, which is very important and is told in our book, because most people don't know the history of the Congo people. The Congo people, which I should add here, where it became a flashpoint in American jurisprudence. A story that most lawyers in American history don't even know about it. But this is what established America as a country to think about its own past. So I will leave that part and concentrate on the question you asked me. So Abdul Rahman is here. We know the story. I'm in Liberia. There's a civil war, and we are broken, family split. Everybody's here. Everybody goes to this place. Some go to Ghana in the camp. These are become Bujumbura refugee camp.
Bujumbura, I remember. Yeah. I was in.
I traveled. Yep.
I was in college then.
Wow.
It was a treacherous moment in the history of Africa. I wouldn't say Liberia, but that really is one of the darkest moments of Africa. And but you know what? Since where we are going is very deep, and let's tell us a little bit about the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency. What it is. The connectivity between you and him, and a brief introduction of the project, and we can have Dr. ARETMUS. What I actually want you to do is tell us how Liberia was formed, and then you can continue from there as to when the war happened. Okay, because yeah, I think that would give us a very good context. But Jay Lester, welcome again, and tell us briefly what the Gulf of Guinea fishery is all about. Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency, basically what it all stands
for. Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency is a registered fishing company in the bailiwick of Liberia, and it's also have extended to other African countries. Okay, we use the nomenclature Gulf because we sense that we are within the Gulf, the marine sector within the Gulf. So we choose to use the name Gulf of Guinea. Okay, that which we can be able to expand our businesses.
No operations.
To other country. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the reason we name it. And Gulf of Guinea is a company that has been registered since 2015.
Okay.
Okay. And Gulf of Guinea has tried in its own weak way to be able to give opportunity to Liberian, and not just Liberian, but African in general. Okay. So yes, African in general.
Who started Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency?
Okay, sincerely, Gulf of Guinea, I sat down at the time when I was administrative manager for China Union. I have a guy who was a friend, but let me just tell you, for me, J. Lester CHEAPOO, by profession, I am a seafarer. I am a merchant marine. I went to school in Ghana. I attended a nautical college in Ghana.
I live close to that area, man. It's by the Sakumono Tema Beach Road.
Tema, the beach side.
Yeah, and, I actually used to have a girlfriend there, man. And there was a basketball court. There was a basketball court right there. We always used to play basketball there. Okay, what year was this? What year was this?
So that was 2014. No, sorry, that was 2003, 2004.
Bro, that was when I was in college then. Those were the times, yeah. So
yeah, great.
Who knows?
So that was 2003, 2004.
Wow.
And my senior year, my graduating year, when we went to the Achimota Forest.
Okay.
The Navy base there, to do our completions.
Yeah.
So I took a vessel from there. They offered other vessels, and we went out. Okay. And I started to navigate and do other things. So when I returned to Liberia around 2008, 2009, I collected all my credentials and everything, and I submitted it at our maritime bureau here. The Bureau of Maritime, at the time it was Bureau of Maritime, but now is the Liberian Maritime Authority. But before it was Bureau of Maritime. So we submitted that, and we couldn't get opportunity. They said that they wanted me to be an inspector on board the vessels, but I said no. You look at my credential. If I'm a navigator, I'm a chief. But at the time I was a quartermaster, and when I came to Liberia, I was a younger Liberian, a captain on one of the interbongo vessels, Korean Guard, now to Point 4. I was on his vessels. Two of the largest fishing vessels on the Liberian territorial water at the time was Bull 55 and later Luanda 2 came in. So I became a captain, and I navigated those vessels, voyages upon voyages, and later get on the American tanker vessels, Ocean View, Gibraltar, went to Spain, Las Palmas, returned to Liberia, and start working.
Wow.
So when I submitted all of my stuff, I couldn't have the opportunity from my government, the country, to work for the marine sector. They said I could be inspector. That's why I refused the offer. I said I cannot be an inspector. I have passed the Bureau of being an inspector. So I have to work as a seafarer, or you put me on one of our vessels, and we had a lot of Liberian flag vessels. So that couldn't. So I sat down for almost 6 months, close to a year, and I saw an offer on the newspaper that the Chinese government, the Chinese embassy, was seeking for a Liberian who could read and write Chinese. to interpret a case at the Criminal Court Temple of Justice, Republic of Liberia. Two Chinese guys allegedly killed a South African guy called Wesley Demis. So I applied to be an interpreter on the case, and I was successful. I went through all of the process, and I was shortlisted. And I became the lead interpreter, and we interpreted the case, and that's okay. After the case, everything okay. The embassy asked me that the Congress in China needed for me to do a deliberation on the case. So I went to China, and spent additional 3 months in China and do a deliberation on the case. And later, after that, I came to Liberia and started to work for the embassy. So from 2010 to 2014, I served as director for visa and passport evaluations, and later went to China Union as administrative manager. So I thought to be able to, impact the sector because it's where I came from. Okay, I'm not really a diplomat, but now I am a diplomat because I went there and I studied. I went to the Foreign Institute, and I went to the IBB International School in Liberia for.
Before you did that first interpretation gig with the, you said it was the Supreme Court or
the Criminal Court Temple of Justice, Republic of Liberia.
Okay, great. Were you then fluent in Mandarin or any other Chinese language?
I'm fluent in Mandarin. I read and write Chinese.
Okay, so that was before that appointment.
Yes, that was before the appointment.
How did you learn that?
I learned because I went to China. I attended the Airline International School of Shipping.
Excellent. Thank you. I think we missed that. And so now you are now working with the Chinese embassy as a passport based off your interaction, the first gig. Now you happen to work as a passport evaluation person. Great. How long did you occupy that administrative?
4 years, from 2010 to 2014.
And then you also work as a PFSO. What is that?
The Port Facility Security Officer.
Okay.
For the Port of Monrovia, the Free Port of Monrovia under the China Union.
Excellent. If you say China Union, what does it mean?
China Union is the iron ore mining company, the Chinese iron ore mining company. Okay.
Located in Liberia.
In Liberia.
How long? Can you tell me the how long do you think the Chinese have been in Liberia when it comes to modern, recent times? Would you say?
If I can recall, the Chinese started to come. I joined the Chinese community around 2008, 2009. I joined the Chinese community. At the time, the Chinese were here, but I joined the Chinese community through the embassy.
Okay, so you said that
the Chinese are all here.
So technically, what would you say is the presence of the Chinese community? How would you describe the presence of the Chinese community in Liberia?
I can tell you holistically that the Chinese community in Liberia is very magnificent. They are helpful to our country.
Okay.
They are very developmental. They are pragmatics.
Okay.
And yes, they have helped within our infrastructure or processes in the country.
Okay.
They are doing very well. They have helped to create job opportunity for Liberians in terms with their various companies that comes to the country. So I think in my mind, the Chinese are doing well, and it's a fact.
Absolutely. Do you perhaps know the rough population of the Chinese in Liberia?
Okay. A statistic in Liberia now, we have close to between 5,000 to 7,000 Chinese.
And what is the rough estimation of the population of the Liberian?
We roughly around 4 million.
4 million, great. So thank you. You are not saying that the Chinese are developmental minded people and they have helped the economy of Liberia biasly because you work for them, right? That's not what is happening.
Yeah, it's not just that I work for them. It is a fact.
Good. Now, ARETMUS, I just want to. Can you help authenticate your view of the Chinese contribution to the Liberian economy?
Well, China is doing what it has to do. This is a global economy. The Chinese bring in their expertise, tell you what they can do.
Yeah.
Physical manpower. They tell you, hey, we're not going to sit in the high offices and just say, hey, we're going to be there and do the hard work with you. So that is the Chinese style of working. That's that philosophy.
In your so in your estimation, they have been very helpful and contributed to the growth and development of Liberia.
Definitely.
Not just Liberia alone. Not just Liberia alone, to many countries.
In Africa. Yeah,
in Africa, in other part of the world. So the other part of that statement, which we need to balance, what are we asking the Chinese in terms of how do we have the level playing field?
Yeah.
I think that way we fall short in our leadership style.
I think
I want that to be stated.
No, that is very true. This is just by the way, right? This is just a sidebar. We didn't plan to get into the Chinese conversation.
Yes, I know.
But in Zimbabwe,
yes,
I think we know that they have a police station actually there. And they have certain institutions owned by the Chinese as though they were part of the fiber of the country Zimbabwe, and not just Zimbabwe alone. I think some of the Central African countries. Again, this topic is not about the Chinese involvement in the African economy, but some say that they are overtaking. I mean, they are about colonizing Africa, and so when we hear some of these things that they are positive, they are helping to develop countries like Liberia, which you guys are alluding to. Is there any iota of truth to the school of thought that says that China is about to colonize Africa if they haven't? I mean, they haven't yet, but do you think that they have a point?
You're asking Lester, I mean,
Dr. Atomos, you think
it depends how we're going to define the work.
Okay, let Dr. Atomos respond quickly, and then Lester, because you're an expert in this. So, Dr. Atomos, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it depends how we're going to define colonization in 18th century or in 21st century. I said that intentionally. So for me, this time around, most of the time when we were colonized in the 1800s, we were colonized because our people had no power. There were guns, there were butter, and there were bullets on our heads. But now you have the chance to ask them.
Can you turn down the radio? Sorry, we're getting feedback. Lester, can you turn down whatever?
Yeah, it's off. It's off.
Thank you. Go ahead, Artemis.
Okay. Yeah. So it all depends on semantics. How we define colonization. For me, colonization, like enslavement, can be said and can be practicalized in many ways.
Okay.
So I believe the Chinese, with the right partnership, the work will have more partnership rather than the so-called colonization language. Because I see that in Zambia. I see the quotes. It's bad leadership. I would say that we have too many bad leadership in Africa. So I don't want to. I know I don't want to. This could be a whole topic by itself.
Right. I don't know. It is. We treated that some time ago on this platform. Okay. We're going to do it again. Sure. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Zambia or Zimbabwe is where they have. I think it's Zambia where they have the police.
Zambia, Zambia, and many other Kenya, even Kenya, they own the airports. Yeah, because they build it.
Actually, they build the headquarters for the African Union. They built it.
Is that money?
It's crazy. I mean, with all these billionaires in Africa, with all this, all these resources, how would China build our headquarters? You see that one, Dr. Atomos, that one we shall do a whole 2-3 hours.
We should do that.
Why is China building our headquarters? That alone is a topic. Lester, see, I mean, this is your field literally. So please respond to this quickly. And I want us to go back to Dr. Atomos' story, and then we can continue with the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I wanted to respond to your view of the Chinese contribution to the Liberian economy.
The Chinese contribution to the Liberian economy is magnificent, it's
Okay.
helpful,
All right.
infrastructurally and whatever. And besides, it's not only Liberia, okay? China has contributed to the globe and the other African country.
Okay.
And it depends on the agreement signed. Then I remember when I was seafarer, when the Chinese went to Tema to build the Tema port.
Yeah.
At the time, they were doing the twin trawling. Okay?
You mean when they were expanding the Tema port?
The Tema port, expanding the Tema port to make it up to international standard as it is now.
It is right by Community 2,
Community 2, right there. At that time, great. At that time we were there, I was a seafarer, okay?
Yeah.
They were using the double vessel, which we call twin trawl. There was twin trawling, okay? At certain point, based on the agreement signed with the Liberian, the Ghanaian government, they build the port, they use the port, they own it for a certain time, and at that time over, they turn it over to the government, to the country, and the country runs it. All right. So it depends on the agreement. But I can tell you, most of us in Africa, our agreements are very bad and are very poor. You cannot blame the Chinese. I really did not come on the show to probably preach for the Chinese, but I can tell you, I understand them well. I know exactly what it stands for. What you put in is what you get. Like for our country, we have road infrastructure programs. All right. The Chinese, maybe the government offer the project through the Ministry of Public Work. And we're supposed to make, for example, a 1 mile road. A 1 mile road that should cost at most maybe 500,000 or $1 million US. Good. To give you an actual standard road, 1 mile, for example. Now, you will have people requesting for tip on a table. All right. And once you go that way, that route, at the end of the day, you will not have the standard that you opted for. You won't have that. Definitely you won't have it, because they have to pay their manpower. They have to buy the material to get the road done. They have to do a lot of other things. Right. So you won't get what you really opting to receive. Okay. So at the end of the day, it comes right back to you. And they say, oh, the Chinese cannot do a better work or something. But the Chinese are doing better work in Ghana. Look at the road. I was in Ghana 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I just passed through to go to Dubai. You see the road, what they are doing. You go to Nigeria. You go to other African countries, they are building standard road based on the arrangement.
Based of the agreement. Okay. No, great point made. Great point made. You are watching the Progressive Mind show. We are talking to Dr. ARETMUS, who is a 7th generation grandson of the great Prince Abdul Rahman. We are celebrating his anniversary. Is that correct, Dr. ARETMUS? Yes, I think it fell yesterday. It was yesterday. It's appropriate that we honor his legacy, honor his people, honor the Black race with this platform, and so we are privileged to be doing that. Having a direct lineage of Prince Abdul Rahman on this platform is an honor. And so Dr. ARETMUS has been giving us a breakdown. His partner in crime, no, not partner in crime, I'm kidding. His partner in business, J. Lester CHEAPOO, is also here. He is the president and CFO of the Nigerian Guinea Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency in Liberia. I think we have a call coming through. Let's see if we can take this one. No, I think it's not here. Let's see if we can take this one. Okay. Now all right, please pardon us. Okay, Dr. ARETMUS, let's take a short break, see if we can try to figure this out. Dr. ARETMUS, when we come back, I want you to continue with the story of how Liberia was found.
Show is on right now.
Okay, we are back to show. My guest. All right, back here on the Progressive Mind Show. If you're watching us on Facebook, we encourage you to share the feed, and on YouTube as well. Please feel free to invite a friend, to invite a brother and a sister, so we can learn history and also participate in this historic moment. Dr. ARETMUS is going to tell us how Liberia was established and then continue with its linkage to them. Okay, so I see what was happening here. If you want to call into the show, guys, if you want to ring into the show, the number to do so with is 815-277-5047. Okay, only with this number can you ring in, share your opinion, or ask a comment. Ask a question or make a comment. It is 815-277-5047. Let's take a few comments on our feed, and then we can go to Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. This is from Lisa Lee. Peace and blessings from St. Louis. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining the feed. Hello. Good evening, Sena. Good evening to you, Ashia Hasnan. Great top fan of the Progressive Mind Show, leader of NFP, a non-for-profit organization. It's a domestic. Domestic. I'm getting the name wrong. Non-violence. I'll get a name for you guys, but it's NFP. Ashia, please help me with a name. I'm blanking out now because there's a lot of going on. So please help me with a name. But I know it's NFP, non-for-profit organization headed by Ashia Hasnan. Okay, so that was when you were trying to get in, Lester. Good evening, Progressive Minds. This is from Bridget Amenyo. Fasika says, okay, thank you, Fasika, for that correction. We will learn to use enslaved people. I think, yeah, you're right. It's not, I think you're right. Sometimes we miss it, but we make it an effort to make sure we are using the right terminologies and right words. Thanks for the correction again. Alicia Gibson says, this is amazing to hear about my grandparents. Oh, that's your sibling, Dr. Guy?
That's our American ancestors.
Okay,
descendants of Abdul Rahman. Yeah, these are. Yeah.
Okay, so this is from Pakwisi. Love this guy. He knows his history a lot. Thank you so much, Pakwisi. The president of the Ghana National Council. DJ Kenny says, very educative as always. Thank you for your time, DJ Kenny. We have Fasika says, China in Africa equals market dominant minority in the making. That is her view. This one is from Aliu Livingston Essay. Says, greetings to you, my brother. And Fasika says, equals Africans stay poor. That is her assertion. Actually talking about, the Chinese are have a very heavy presence in Ethiopia too. They have contributed. They have given us so much loan to the Ethiopian government. So I think they are everywhere. Ate, oh, Pastor, bro, what's up? It's been a while. Pastor Ate Akron says we day. Yeah, thanks for alerting me, Pastor Ate, because I don't see it unless you put a comment. We don't get to see the names. So thank you so much for alerting me. Good topic and good show as usual. Very informative. Thank you, Pastor Ate. There's more to come. Dr. ARETMUS is going to lay down the foundation of Liberia. How was it? How did they all come into existence? Some say it's Joseph Monroe, a former American politician or president. All of that. There's so many history, but give us the history being from there and being a scholar.
Thank you again. Let me. Yeah, I know this is so compact. So let me just go back to our lineage, how we found out. I think it's important that we add it here. So we have a civil war that came in Liberia, 1989, December 24th. It changed Liberia history forever. On the eve, I still remember I was a high school student. I didn't know anything, just playing soccer, trying to follow my father's footsteps. Just for the
What year was
record, my dad is 1989, December 24th.
Okay.
In fact, I was drafted into the junior national team under 17 to play Ivory Coast on the national soccer team. I never came to the level of my dad. My father was a former captain of the Liberian national team for 10 years, from 1965 to 1975. In fact, his favorite player who he played against was Baba Yaro. Heard
Baba
Yaro before?
Yeah. Yeah, Baba Yara.
Baba Yara was a Ghanaian.
He's a famous.
My dad is named after Baba Yara.
He played for Asante Kotoko and the national team. Yes.
You know that. My dad is named after Baba Yara.
Okay.
And the guy who played with Baba Yara his name was Wani Boto. Wani Boto, a crew Guinean, a crew, a crew and Gribble Liberian who was born in Accra. In
it was Ghana crew guy. A Ghanaian crew.
Ghana crew guy, what we call like a Ghanaian crew.
Yeah.
Wani Boto. I want you to Google that name. Very famous player in Ghana history. My dad and they were both roommates. He left Ghana. Ghana Soccer League was closed down because of Wani Boto and few players. Because the great Kwame, again, I will leave that with you Ghanaians. Kwame Nkrumah loved to be compared. He didn't want no one to take away the fact that Africans could play the same soccer like anybody else. So the league was closed. Soccer league was football was closed in Ghana. So Wani Boto left Ghana and went to his matriarch home, Liberia, and played with my father, Baba GAYE. And my dad, as I said to you, was named after Baba Yara. So I just want to give that history of soccer from my father's side. Yeah. It is there, but it's out of that lineage that we found out who we were to the Prince and Isabella. The word is there. My dad is a government official. He's a deputy minister for sports, vice president for the FA, Football Association. Very loved, watched by the former president Samuel Doe, the one who was butchered by Prince Johnson. And in fact, the day my dad was to make the decision to go to Europe for the Italian World Cup, it was 1990 World Cup in Italy. And dad had to tell the president of Liberia he would not make the trip because he had his family. He had to think about if he leave, what will happen to his family. So in that decision, my great-grandmother, who hails from Cape Mount, one of the counties, we decided to move there because it was bad. The war had gone. We thought the war was going to last for less than 6 months, but it didn't happen that way. We moved to Grand Cape Mount County. My dad was born on a little island there, and there where we were. And my great-grandmother, she started to tell all the history of our family, who we were. She did not mention, and that's for the record, the name Abdul Rahman. But she mentioned her great-great-grandfather, Sama Rahman, a young man who came to Liberia, who she knew, lived there, married there, had his family, and was connected to the country. But no one knew his history. And she had a Bible given to her from generation over generation. And now, as I have did the research, we found that that Bible was a Bible given to her or given to the family by the man called Thomas Gallaudet. Thomas Gallaudet gave Abdul Rahman a Bible written in Islam in Arabic in 1828 when Abdul Rahman was heading back to Africa. The old lady had the Bible with so many artifacts. And those artifacts were left in a part of our country called Firestone. Hear the word, Firestone. Habel Firestone. Habel, you know, Firestone Rubber Company is where the rubbers were made. The tires you heard about, the Firestone tires.
Yeah.
In fact, it was a rubber company that saved the war of the Second World War because there were no rubbers or tires to be found. It was in Firestone that the only area of the Allied nations rubber was produced to make the tires for the plane that fought the war against Germany and Japan. It was coming from Liberia, where ironically the daughter, the great-great-granddaughter of Abdul Rahman, Isabella, lived. They had moved there for economic reason. So that's where we lived. That's where my parents, they live in a camp called $10 camp. Get a word, $10 camp. And man, every time you went to court, if you lose a case, you pay $10 to the next person. That's where my great-great-grandmother lived her life. So she was able to share that story of her family lineage to us. And you hear my word again, I never heard the name Abdul Rahman in my life. However, Simon. Now I know she had this document. And it was during the war while we were in our ancestral home. She told her, may his soul rest in peace, Franklin Johnson, that she needed her document because it was so important to her family history. And while my uncle Frank took the perilous journey to go and retrieve those documents that were in the family for almost 150 years, he was captured by the Charles Taylor rebel group, the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, and he never had a chance to recover those lost documents. In fact, the last picture we saw was a burned home. The entire property was burned down, looted. So we never had a chance to retrieve those documents of the family heritage. And then where we were, my dad, it was a very bad war. Yeah. And I'm saying this, thank you again, my brother Sina, for saying it. Can you imagine how many people who have lost their life in America only because you're a civil servant? My dad was a civil servant. And he was the first, like I said to you, he was the captain of the national team, the man who helped our current president, George Weah, to go to Brazil and to play in the tournament. I told George Weah from Liberia, our current president, His Excellency, let me add it here, His Excellency President George Weah, to a tournament that we eventually lead him to go to Cameroon and end up in France and become the world best player. And Dad was taken from Liberia as the first young man to go and have his degree in sports administration and coaching. A man called William Corbett, the man who was butchered by a rebel junta or a military junta. He took my dad, his other friend, Mr. Christopher Nipe, or his friends, he took them away from the country to go and study. And Dad came home in 1951 as the first Liberian former captain of the national team who played against Baba Yara, the powerful Baba Yara, who played with Wani Boto and became a deputy sports minister. But where we were in his ancestral home of where he was born with his grandmother, his life was threatened only because he was a former minister of a government, a deputy. He had to flee to Sierra Leone. And that's where my great grandmother died and then she was never able to tell the other part of the story.
Okay.
So I pledged myself that if I ever get to find out, I will do my best to know why we fought a war and why we need to connect with our African American heritage, because there's no way to disconnect these facts.
Thank you so much. Again, you are watching the Progressive Mind Show, and on this episode, we are talking to a direct lineage of Prince Abdul Rahman. We're trying to look at Liberia from 1821 to present day, and we are here with Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, who I said, is a direct lineage of Prince Abdul Rahman, with his colleague, business partner, J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. Now, thank you for sharing the story. If you missed the first half, we were he narrated who Prince Abdul Rahman is. There's a documentary on him. He is actually working on a current documentary that would depict some of the information and the story that perhaps was left out in the first story that was made of Prince Abdul Rahman, which he will be sharing. But Dr. ARETMUS, I still want you to tell us, so your great-great-grandmother, shared part of the story. Unfortunately, he passed. She couldn't finish it. So did you discover then your lineage through that first part of the story? And at what point did it become real to you? How did you make the connection and all of that? I want you to literally give us when the Eureka came on. When was that the Eureka moment?
Thank you. Oh, yeah. So here I am. It's Liberian Civil War. It's tough. Young men and women are being recruited into the military to fight a war that they don't even know. Kids, babies. Mm-hmm. I refuse to hold a gun. Thank God to a mother, Esther Ines Gay, Ines name, and a teacher, my first teacher, and I pay homage to her just as I pay homage to Isabella, and my uncles, Bishop John G. Ines, wonderful bishop, teacher. So all of these folks who made us to understand you don't have to win your battle only by holding guns. You can learn and go to school. But it was a time that in our life we were forced to be refugees.
Did you have the option? From what you were saying, does it mean that you had the option to join a rebel force versus fleeing to becoming a refugee in another country?
Absolutely, my brother. That is the point.
Okay.
In fact, where I was, because when the rebel knew my dad was this guy who played soccer, who was known.
Great
Think
man.
about that. My dad was the captain of the national team for 10 years.
Yeah.
So everybody knew his name. But
so basically, your dad had the status of George Weah, basically. At the time.
He's a mentor. He was the mentor of George Weah and George Weah 11. All of the players who ever played with George Weah knows my dad like a mentor.
Excellent. Okay. So because of that, you were not forced, because a lot of the people then, kids then, were forced to become a rebel.
Exactly.
Okay.
But then things change. In the kind of, it's fluid. Nothing is stable. So there are new people. There's other issues going on. Mm-hmm. There was a situation where the rebels, some people want to just eliminate anybody who ever worked for Samuel Doe. The late Samuel Doe. They didn't care if you were, once you occupied a government position, they thought you needed to go. Think about that. Think about what happened in Afghanistan or Iraq. They wanted you out. Yeah. And there was a lady who heard that at a checkpoint, and she came to the place where we were seeking refuge, and he said, there is a family that's here. I hear news that the rebels are saying there's a very popular guy, but they don't care anymore. They just want to eliminate anyone who ever worked for Samuel Doe. And that lady, it so happened that the very house we were staying in was a home owned by her grandparents. And the kids that she had were our friends. It was curfew time, and that news hit us. At 6 p.m., we were forced to flee. And I will let you know, I'm so glad we are having a show. A Ghanaian Liberian fisherman, Kofi, was able to take us at a very perilous time in his family life. Don't forget, Ghana contributed troops because Jerry Rawlings to Liberia to help us to stop the war. And because Ghana sent its troops to stop the Liberian Civil War, Ghanaians were targets.
Okay.
And don't forget, Ghanaians and Liberia are already intermingled for a long time.
Yeah.
So Ghanaians were being killed in Liberia. And this fisherman, or Kojo, sorry, his name is Kojo. Kojo, father was a Ghanaian, his mother a Liberian. Kojo was taking a perilous journey to save some member of his family when he was encountered by my parents, by my dad, that we needed to be saved. At 6 p.m. in the part of Liberia, Kojo was able to make a decision to take my dad along with me on a perilous journey where we could have been killed. The fish he brought because he was a fishmonger. He turned it over to the rebels. While the rebels were distributing the fish among themselves, Kojo was able to get my dad on board of a fishing vessel, the Ghanaian fishing canoes, to escape to Sierra Leone. But here's the interesting part of that story. You know what Kojo put my dad and myself on board of his fishing canoe? Because Kojo told my dad, he said, "Pap, do you know that one time I have a soccer team in West Point?" Even Ghanaian asked him about West Point in Liberia. He said, "I came to the Youth and Sports Ministry to get some sports jerseys. My dad had usually employed Ghanaian, a German guy to train the national team and the youth team. And they would bring a lot of sportswear. And everyone refused to give him any jersey. My dad took what he had for my team and gave it to Kojo, for Kojo's team. Kojo had a team called 11 Fishermen. They had 11 dwarfs in Ghana. And Kojo told my dad that story. He said, because I'm charging my own people from Ghana to go to Sierra Leone to escape, but I will take you and your son for free because you don't know what you did for me. I will never forget that. Hear the story. Joe put us on board of a fishing vessel and took us to Sierra Leone at night time. I'm letting you know, if I tell the story where I cried, this is the first time at 9 years. That's how my papa and I were saved. And at the very checkpoint we were escaping that night, a young man from the Sharon family, very powerful family in Liberia, from Cape Mount, where my dad was.
Sorry,
the boy was shot.
Yeah, I think we're having a technical challenge here. Let's take a short break because the internet is breaking. Can you hear us now, Dr. ARETMUS?
I can hear you loud. I can hear it clear.
Okay, it was breaking a little bit, but a powerful story. Yeah, please continue from where you said that it's the first time you're sharing the story and not shedding tears, literally.
Yes, it's the first time. Kojo. Man.
Yeah, we will take a short break. When we will come back to our guest to continue the story. This is the Progressive Mind Show, and we are talking to a direct lineage, a seventh generation grandson of the famous and late Prince Abdul Rahman. Dr. ARETMUS GAYE is a direct lineage. He's sharing the story of Liberia from the 1821 till present day, his personal involvement in the struggle and the demise that befell the country Liberia some years ago. As we all know, the civil war that happened in Nigeria, he was personally in the thick of things. His family was involved. His dad was a very prominent man in Liberia at the time. That actually helped their situation. That actually helped him not to be forced or into child into joining some of the rebel leaders. We call it child soldier, right? Child soldier. So he was that situation, because of his father's status, at least gave him the option to, he gave him the option to join a rebel army then, or join a rebel leader, or be a child soldier at the time, or flee. But even to flee, he had to take a good Samaritan. They had to take a friend of his dad, someone his dad had done good to some time ago, and this man is called Kojo. From Ghana and Nigeria, Ghana and Liberia have always had a good relationship. And so he was just telling us how this Kojo man, who was a fisherman, helped his family escape at a time where the rebels had decided that regardless of who your status, who you are, as long as you worked for the former government, the government they were fighting against, which is Samuel Doe, you had to go. And so his life was at risk. His family's life were at risk. And I think if you missed that part, I just wanted to narrate it because the internet will have a little bit of glitch with the internet. But this is a personal story, so it's heavy when you're telling it. And Dr. ARETMUS, we're glad we have you back. And thanks for sharing such a powerful story. Thanks for being a great man that you have been, a strong and solid man, for holding the fort and carrying the mantle of your ancestors and the African community at large. We really appreciate and honor you. And you have a lot of admirers and mentees in the city of Chicago who are looking up to you, and learning every day from you. So thank you for sharing the story, bro. If you're ready, you can go ahead and continue from where we had that break.
Sure. And sorry everybody for walking away, but there's nothing wrong with crying.
No,
it's
it's fine.
So yeah, I broke down. I did tears did come back again. So it means there's nothing wrong with me shedding tears.
Absolutely.
But Kojo is a family member to me to this day. The fact that he took us to safety, and Kojo will lead when the war in Sierra Leone broke out. Kojo will lead a group of fishermen to help rescue Liberian refugees. And Kojo did it so well. And sadly, his cousin, Kwabena was captured by the first group of rebel soldiers that entered Sierra Leone. And Kwabena became one of the first in my record to have been executed. And it was a torturous moment because those who fled the scene, and I'm not going to describe how graphic it was, Kwabena was killed. His fingers were taken apart because he came to save not Ghanaians, but Liberians. I want you to hear this. Kwabena did not come to save Ghanaians because all the Ghanaians had left for safety to Liberia. My dad and a man called Holder, he was a commerce minister in the interim administration of Liberia. They worked on a plan with the interim president, Amos Sawyer, and Kwabena was captured for coming to save Liberians, and he was killed. Wow. But I tell this story because it's the reason why we can never stop talking about Africa's pain. The unique man of Africa will have so much to share with everybody, but a few in concert with some selfish folks outside make bad deals that lead our sons, our daughters, our nephews, our nieces, our aunties, our uncles to struggle.
Right. At this point, Kojo, with the help of Kwabena and the other fishermen, had helped your family to escape to Sierra Leone.
Yes.
Good. And would it be in Sierra Leone that you would begin to realize your lineage? I mean, your direct lineage?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. But guess what? Kwabena and Kojo also brought us back to safety in Liberia when the war broke up in Sierra Leone. You heard about the infamous Sierra Leone war where people's arms and limbs were amputated.
For the Sanko?
For the Sanko.
Okay.
It started right, as I said to you, Kwabena. And that's why I'm glad we're having the show. I'm going to honor Kwabena and his family and put a statue for him in that part of Sierra Leone called or Suleiman. What Kwabena took that risk. He didn't need to go to Sierra Leone.
Between Liberia and Freetown.
It's a resort, beautiful place. But it's also the worst crisis in life.
Yeah.
That's what Kwabena went. So I just saying this because Kojo did not even bring us to safety from Liberia, but from safety from Sierra Leone back to Liberia.
Wow. So that was after the war had passed, he brought you back.
He did. The war was still on in between Liberia and Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So he took us from one refugee camp back to safety in Liberia.
Wow.
So in that trip I made, that perilous journey back to Liberia, I told myself I would need to find out why we fought this unnecessary civil war. And then I get to Liberia and I'm good. I do well in school. I receive a scholarship, and there was a big exam given by the Methodist Church to take 4 students from Liberia to go to Zimbabwe. And it needed 4 top students. I took this exam as one of the students that came in late for the exam, and I won the scholarship to go to Zimbabwe. I come to the United States in Michigan, and then I decided to do a research of my family history.
Okay.
Traumatized in a program called Trauma and Healing at a hospital called William Bowman Hospital in Michigan, a program for graduate students. But for some reason, I was brought onto that program. But I think you need to hear how I got to that program. Zimbabwe, under Mugabe, there is a strike of the airlines. And there's only one flight leaving from Zimbabwe to England. For some reason, I'm not the first choice of this program. I'm not the second choice of this program. But for some reason, there's one person in the program that really loved to hear my story. And the only plane leaving that night was to take the vice president of Zimbabwe and 3 of his members of his delegation to England to talk about the same issue that Zimbabwe is faced, the issue of a land distribution. And he's a friend of the head of this program at the medical program in Michigan. Former diplomat. He makes a call and tells his friend, I got a student, a young guy from Liberia. I want you to, there's no flight for him. This is a program. He's going to be paid $40,000 to come to this program. We love his story. He's not the first choice. He's not even going to be in this program. But I want him in this program because his story is a story of healing and reconciliation. The vice president's office, they are the chief of staff of the vice president is his best friend. They both worked for the Queen of England before. And this guy said, so you want me to stay and let this young man go? That's the question he asked Dr. Carl Boxer. Carl Boxer said, yes, that's what I want. I'm telling you this. And this guy says, I will give my seat to this young man. But let me tell you another part of this story, which I think is important that we share. The week I got my visa from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, quickly, because quickly, because you know, we have a lot to unpack.
All right, sure. The day I got my visa from the embassy, I was basically denied by an African American at the embassy. But the head of the consular division, a white woman, walked in, and because she read my story for some reason, I don't know how it happened, she told the guy, do not deny this young man. He got to get his visa, he has some funds, and he has to go. I'm a third-year student, the top of my class in Zimbabwe. This white lady overruled her deputy.
Decisions of the African American.
Yes. And I was able to fly as a young 19-year-old to a graduate program. That's how I came to the United States. And there I began to get my great-grandmother's story together. And today we know what we have of our family members who are listening to this show tonight.
Excellent point. So now you are in the States, and did you seek out, was your main target of coming to study in the States to learn about one Abdul Rahman that was mentioned by your grandmother? How did you get to this story and finally discover it? Again, help us establish that.
I try to bring it down so my brother Lester can come, because the Gulf of Guinea is important to share in this narrative.
Absolutely.
I'm here. I have, as I said to you, I have no knowledge of Abdul Rahman. I'm concentrated on Simon Rahman. Liberians have the way of cutting words short.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes that's why they say, oh, we just like our African American brother and sister, we chew our words. So the consonant, you don't really get to hear it. So I'm here thinking about who is this Simon, this guy who my great-grandmother kept talking about, her grandfather, great-great-grandfather. No idea, hear my word, no idea about who Prince Abdul Rahman is. And she keeps telling us a story. She's from Mississippi. You know, we are from a place in Liberia called New Georgia. Okay. Georgia, the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Where I'm from. in Liberia, but she kept her story. She knew what she knew. So we get there, and I'm there thinking about this story, and then I find out I'm trying to look all around. I went to the Museum of African American History in Detroit. I'm at a very prestigious program, Royal Oak, Michigan, William Bobo Hospital, the 5th largest hospital in the United States. As a young man, and there she tells me, I went to the library. She tells me, ARETMUS, let me let you know, our folks came here. They didn't have a name from Africa. They were cargoes. I cried to know African American past, that we were all just cargo. But my great grandmother never forgot her story. And there's a manifesto that knew where she landed, and I was able to discover that. And back to back to back, I found out who Abdul Rahman was.
Okay, I think that we just got a glitch. We just got a glitch there. Please pardon us as we try to continue the story of Prince Abdul Rahman, the connectivity, and his his great grandson, his 7th generation grandson, Dr. ARETMUS. Welcome back to the show. And Dr. ARETMUS, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Okay.
Pop, can you pop it? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes. So that's how I was able to go from place to place. So I won a scholarship in Evanston at Northwestern Garrett Evangelical in the prestigious program hosted by the Pew Fellowship for Religion and Journalism. I get admitted in that program.
We are back. Sorry about that glitch. Dr. ARETMUS link is kind of like, I think we're having a little bit of a technical issue here. But Lester, can you still hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much for sticking around. I know it's been a little challenging, but there's a powerful story that needs to be shared. What is the main challenge of the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency as we speak?
Oh, basically, the challenges that we have in Liberia is that we as Liberians, we actually do not support ourselves as Liberian. We have one thing in this country that they call the Liberianization policy, which is not actually working in our sectors. We only have it as a policy, but it's not actually working. It's not in actuality. Okay, so the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency have tried its possible best and continue to try its best to be able to give services, to give opportunity to Liberians and other African country Africans to have something to do. Okay, the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency it's a company where came in with fishing vessels in this country, and you won't believe that based on my connections in the Chinese community, we were able to go to China, meet the ambassador, the former ambassador George Nkwa, spoke to him, and allowed him to go to convince other people on our behalf, to give them confidence to do business with us. So which he did. And we signed an agreement with a company, the Shenzhen Fishing Company in China, that gave us 18 fishing vessels. Okay? 18 fishing vessels. Now, the 18 fishing vessels, before that could leave, we sent a communication to Liberia through the Maritime Affairs, the Bureau of Maritime, now is the Liberian Maritime Authority, and we sent a communication to NAFA. NAFA is the National Aquaculture a company in Liberia that is responsible for the fishing. So we send that to NAFA. And you won't believe that since that happens, communication back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They gave us authorizations. They spoke to the embassy in Liberia. They spoke to the Chinese government there, and they gave us the authorizations. So we brought in 6 vessels out of the 18. The 18 vessels left the country, all came to Mozambique, and it was in Mozambique. We took 6 from there and brought it to Liberia. They June 14, 2020 last year. And since June 14, 2020 last year, the vessels came in the country. We paid $70,000 US to Maritime. Maritime, they all part, they did the inspections, they did all of the part on the vessels, and that was okay. Now, NAFA came with an inspection, with an inspectors, they did theirs. The inspector told us it was okay to make the report. And you won't believe that my country denied us of working in the country.
Your country denied that? What do you mean by that? They
denied us on grounds that the vessel is too sophisticated. The vessels is the first fishing vessels in the Republic of Liberia. The vessels is a super trawler. They have all of the nomenclature and adjective attached to the vessels. The vessels will be leaving first thing tomorrow morning because it was to leave today, but because of my late arrivals in the country from Guinea, the vessels will be leaving first thing tomorrow morning. Okay?
Okay.
Can you believe that? When the vessels first came, through the help of God and Dr. Atimoge, we were able to hire workers from the sea, fellow Liberians, welcome from the Seamen Welcome Union. That was 120 crewmen was on the vessel from June, July, August.
122.
120. Each of the vessel takes 20 seafarers. 20 industrial seafarers.
Okay. So the main challenge is that you were able to secure 18 vessels for the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency, but it's only 6 that's operating. And you're saying that if you say your country, you're saying that the government of Liberia is preventing you from using the other 12 vessels. Is that exactly what's going on, if I'm right?
No, you're missing it. You're missing it. You're missing it. First of all, before the 18 vessels could come, the first 2 vessels we brought to the country was Ocean Star 1 and 2. Okay?
Okay.
After sending all the communication to them, they came up and they told us, when Ocean Star came here in the country, they said the vessel do not meet our standard. So how the vessel did not reach a standard? We took those vessels are currently working in Senegal. We went back, we renegotiated with partners in China, gave us 18 vessels. We brought 6 to Liberia, 12 is in Mozambique. The 6 vessels that is in Liberia, they refused to give us license for the 6 vessels in Liberia. The vessels are in the port of Monrovia for 1 month, for 1 year, from the 14th of June 2020 to up to present. Up to present.
And you're saying the government of Liberia is refusing to let you use the vessels?
They have refused. So for that reasons,
what reasons were you given?
The only reasons that the government of Liberia come up through NAFA, the Director General, Emma Glasgow, is that the vessel is too sophisticated.
Okay.
The vessel is a super trawler. The vessel is this. You understand? Denying other Liberians from opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's no vessels, there's no Liberian in Liberia has the opportunity to operate. There's no fishing vessels. No Liberia in this country have a fishing company with a vessel that is operational in Liberia. No. You only have one Chinese company, which is Airline Fishing Company, by one Chinese guy called, I will call his name, Bryant. You understand? It's the one that is operating. Those Chinese people have only 2-3 vessels on the Liberian water. Okay?
So foreigners are allowed to use vessels in Liberia, but indigenes or nationals of Liberia are not allowed to.
No. Now the worst disappointing part of it, you won't believe that we have 40 plus vessels for EU on the Liberian territorial water that is fishing on the Liberian territorial water, that is not coming in port, that do not have inspectors, Liberian inspectors on board, that do not have Liberian seafarers on board. They don't even bring the cash in port. They only do a lump sum annually and send to Liberian government through NAFA as a quota.
What is NAFA? What is NAFA?
NAFA, I'm going to send that to you now so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because you've mentioned it severally. We want to establish what NAFA is in this connection. Dr. ARETMUS, you want to help us?
No. NAFA
acronym.
It's an acronym,
yes,
which is National Aquaculture Fishery Authority.
Got you. Okay. Similar to Ghana, ours is GAPOHA. I mean, which is
TPH. Great.
Yeah,
it's a National Aquaculture Fishery Authority.
Okay.
NAFA.
Got you. So no, thanks for linking. Thanks for sharing that story. So this is a great challenge. Obviously, what is the main natural resource of Liberia?
Okay. The main natural resource of Liberia. Okay. 1, we have the marine sector.
Okay.
2, we have gold and diamond.
Okay.
3, we have timber. You get to me?
Yeah, and then ore.
Timber. The oil, we just discovered oil basically around 5-6 years ago when Madam Salif was president. They got to understand, they did oil survey and they got to understand that we have oil. They sell some of it into blocks.
Okay.
But that has not been quantified I stand to be corrected, but I think that has not been quantified for sale.
Thank you.
We just say we have oil. But what has been tested is what I'm telling you about. Yeah, but the marine sector in Liberia is dormant.
That's a great point. So you have a dominant natural resource among the list of those that you have in Liberia, which is a story for most African countries, especially sub-Saharan Africa. Natural resources are in abundance, and so thanks for giving us that list for Liberia specifically. Even though it's a small country, has enormous natural resources. I think Sierra Leone as well. So with the fishery, aqua fishery, you call it?
Yeah. The National Aquaculture Fishery Authority.
That industry sits above all the other natural resources you have. It's very important that we establish that. And so if the country or the people are not benefiting, directly from this sector, I think that it becomes, very difficult to understand why the government will not make use of its natural resources to the benefit of its people. I mean, this country, Liberia, led by President, His Excellency President George Weah. That is very difficult to hear and to absorb, because for some of us who are not Liberians, some Africans who knew George Weah before he became president, we saw his benevolency, we saw his philanthropic side by how he sponsored a national team several years, and so for him becoming a president, because somebody who was not yet the president was using his money to sponsor the national team, right? I mean, at least from the outside, that's what we saw. So how come then now that he's in power and has access and is in control of everything, all the natural resources, why would he now want to have these natural resources benefit his own people? Why would he block his own people from utilizing it to the benefit of its citizens? It's just mind blowing. We don't understand. And so maybe you might judge we as a judge. We are Dr. ARETMUS. You want to?
No, now let me come in, okay?
Okay.
That's a point. That's a point that Liberians, we as Liberians, fail to understand, and up to present we cannot comprehend that. Okay? That we as Liberians will be denied, more especially when we are going out there scouting opportunity to bring back to the country. For you to deny us this opportunity because of one organization called EU, which is false, because EU do not control our marine sectors. EU is not Liberia. It's not the governance. It's not sitting at the governor ends of Liberia to control who becomes or who operates. EU has 40 plus vessels on the Liberian territorial water. You do not have no Liberian, absolutely no Liberian. You can do your background investigation, come to the country, check and see if as to whether J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. is lying. Come and see. No Liberian have a fishing vessels on the Liberian territorial water that is fishing. No Liberians. You understand? That which is wrong. So if the president sit at the helms of presidencies, sit in his throne and tell us Liberian and the world that Liberian will not be some spectators in their economy, that's a mirage.
Yeah.
It is an absolute mirage.
What is the way forward? Yeah.
It is a mirage. It's false. And you having lot of Liberians, seafarer, in this country that are idle, that are not doing anything in this country. You have in Liberia that fly the highest flag in the marine sector. You can do your research about it. And you have no Liberian, absolutely no Liberian on board these vessels. Where in the world these things happens? And you have trained mariners sitting down, trained seafarers sitting down in this country. You understand? It's heartbreaking, it's disappointing. You know how many money do we put in these things to get these people? You know how many money that Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, vice president of this of Gulf of Guinea, has contributed through his foundation to getting us to where we are? You understand? And it's not only being Lester CHEAPOO. You deprive other Liberians. Now, let me just throw a little light on something. Dr. GAYE is sitting there. You can do your research. Dr. GAYE has a medical accepted material in the port of Monrovia that worth almost 10 to 50 million US dollars. Oxygens or whatever you think about. Today, the COVID has broken in our country. Liberia's now is on the red flag. We have been spot as level 4 through CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. Ghana is today telling us that the new variants of virus is emanating from Liberia. You know why you put Liberia into? And you have this medical assault issue in the port, and the government knows about it. Dr. GAYE went to the Prime Minister of Liberia, now we call him Prime Minister, Mr. McGill, sat in the office, negotiated with them. They promised that they could get it to the country. Up to today, it's still sitting in the port while people are dying for oxygen. And you have oxygen in the port of Monrovia. Simply because Dr. ARETMUS GAYE is not a seditious. He's not from the ruling class. He's only a member of a party of Liberia. Like for me, I tell anybody, I am a member of a part of Liberia. I'm not from a definite political party. No, my political party is the country. Simply because J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. is not a member of the ruling party, so we cannot have this opportunity. And everybody cannot be a seditious. Everybody cannot be within the ruling class. To put me in the ruling class, from my understanding, from my school of thought, from my family background that I come from, trust me, you must be able to convince me. You must be able to tell me exactly what is it and the reason for which I should join you. That has not happened. Absolutely, that has not happened. that put us on the ugly footing. We will not accept it. And this is the reason why we fought 14-year war in this country. Because of disenchantment. Because of disenchantment. Because other people feel that they are more Liberians than other persons in this country. You know how much that cost us?
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. My co-story, our company today has closed. I went to Guinea to sign an agreement with Boubacar Sidi Diallo, the Prime Minister. Our vessels today is there. The Guineans is aiding us. The Guineans is asking us, Liberians, me in particular, to take my vessel there to do business. While my own country is depriving me and have deprived me for 1 year. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Simply because I'm not a member? I told people, how did they come here? We contacted through them, the embassy. I can show you email where the Chinese embassy sent an email, and I was copied in that email to Emma Glasgow, the Director General, informing her. The email is here. I can show the email to you, or I can forward it to you. I will forward it so you can see that. Okay? Informing her about the work.
And I can try and share with the audience.
And up to today, she refused. Here's the email. I will forward it to your email address now so you can see it. Up to today, they refuse.
Okay, it's not readable. Yeah.
It's not readable, but I will send it to you now.
Okay,
up to today, they have not responded to that email since last year. Will you believe that?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
The first thing they get to understand who is Lester CHEAPOO that the Chinese embassy will have to front for. Who is this man? Why is it this?
But that shouldn't matter.
Left from here. We left from here to go negotiate. I used the ambassador to negotiate. I was there when the ambassador told me that Lester, your country is not prepared for the new day. Lester, yes, he sent via text. I have it, the document in my possession. He told me that Lester, the Chinese believe that the Liberian fishery resources in Liberia is okay. Artificial blackmailing is too strong in Liberia. The artificial blackmailing is very strong. The fishing policy is poor. The ambassador said that to me, the former ambassador, George Nkwa.
Wow.
But yesterday, we were able to convince him to go and convince other people to give us their businesses to come and continue. Very heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is very heartbreaking. Thanks so much for sharing, Lester. Thank you so much for sharing. It's unfortunate that these things are happening in Africa, and you have African leaders preventing their own people from thriving. The stories keep coming up. Some African leaders happen to be the problem of Africans. And Dr. ARETMUS, I know you wanted to add a thing or two to what Lester was saying. But before that, okay, looks like we may have, let's go back to Lester. Lester, how much of all of this do you think is attributed to tribalism? Do you think that could be a reason, or is it because you mentioned some people think they are more important to others in the country of Liberia, and it's not what you're going through, what you're sharing is not only attributed to what you call Liberia. You know, it's I think it cuts across Africa. So do you think that there is that element of tribalism still very prevalent?
For me, I will not tell you the basis is tribalism. I will tell you that for our country, Liberia, it's envy among young people.
Envy.
It's pettiness among young people.
Okay.
You understand? Because people in Liberia today who are at the arms of power are all young people. Some of them as our classmates. We were schoolmates. You understand? Some of them we were friends. Some of them we aided them. You understand? Before today they becomes governors of the country.
Why would we?
Right? I'm a son. I am a son of a revolutionary in this country. My father took scarf. My family took scarf for multi-party democracy in this country. My father served as the Chief Justice Republic of Liberia, former Justice Minister, former Senator Republic of Liberia. My family, my father served this country diligently. You can Google my father, Councilor Chair CHEAPOO on your on the internet. You can read about him. Go to Google him.
Yeah, I'll do that.
We stood in this country for peace. We stood in this country for justice. So we will not sit down and allow people come in this country and deprive us. Where do you expect us to go as a Liberian? If you are depriving us today, how do you expect us to sustain ourselves? This is a governance that hasn't, in their lifetime, in 3 years, has not bring in any job opportunity to this country. No job opportunity this government has bring to this country. No. Absolutely no. One job. All of the job opportunity that was set by Manaseli, those businesses start to close. The China Union, the Asalameta, the Putuma, the Tawana Resource, they are closing. They are closing because of bad governance. They are closing by the day because of bad governance. Will you believe that?
I know it's well. I want to say
Some Darby, all the other companies are closing. They are putting Liberians down. The country is getting stagnated. And we went back and said we would bring opportunity to the country. We would give people the opportunity to perform, to be able to work, to be able to beef up the economy. And you say, oh no, because we are not part of your class, because we are not part of the government. You think about it. That's envy.
Yeah, that's envy.
It's not about tribalism. No, it has nothing to do about tribalism. It's not tribalistic. It's envy.
Okay, envy. Where is that stemming from, Dr. ARETMUS?
Yeah.
Can you hear us? Where is that envy stemming from? These are fellow Africans. I mean,
you know what? My brother has laid it out.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
This is called the crab mentality, and this also existed in the transatlantic slave trade, where we think that it's all okay. So this is what giving us hard time as the people, as a culture. One group thinks it's all about my time. They call it, this is my time. This is our time. And what it does, it creates the false mandate that you control a time frame. But it does not create. Are you getting me well?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you good.
Just give me 1 second. I think I'm hearing an echo.
You're getting okay. You can continue, Lester. I think this is a very important point we are making here. Lester, so how, I mean, you mentioned how Dr. ARETMUS is influencing or is trying to help his country by importing all these, goods, resources that is geared to helping folks that are suffering from COVID-19. And they are stuck at the borders of Liberia. They're not being brought in. So from what you have shared so far, what is the way forward? What can be done to, make things happen for Liberians at this point?
To make things happen for Liberians and Liberia, the government will have to change its minds and attitude. The government will have to rebrand. The government will have to redirect. The government should be able to know what's best for her. It's not about individual.
Right.
It's about the country. Okay? It's about the country. You cannot have people that will bring things to the country for the common good of the country, and you deprive them simply because they are not part of your governance system.
Okay.
Simply because they default with you. You cannot have these things. It's wrong.
So the government needs to change its mind if the government is not changing its mind, are there any other ways? You working with the maybe AU? Are there any international bodies that can be that can help, you know, in your negotiation of getting things done for the people of Liberia?
Definitely. But now, listen,
Uh-huh.
even the people that we're going to partner with, all right, those international partners that you mentioned, the AU, the UC, the this and that, whatever people, they first of all do a statistic. They go into your country, they see how the government work with its own people.
Right.
All right, they see how other people, other Liberians, are trying to bring opportunity, are trying to help the situations, and you are depriving them. What Dr. Gaye brought is almost 10 million US dollar, 11 million US dollar worth of goods. Our fishing company will be delivering annually 50 million US dollar to the economy. You throw that away, 50 million, and you get on a plane and you go to France and you're asking for 23 million, that you can get 50 million US dollar from vessels. Meaning that you don't understand what you're talking. Meaning that you don't understand governance. Meaning that you don't understand nothing. That's an absolute ineptitude. How can we go to partners around the world to aid us when you can do it for yourself? Those people that you're talking about to come aid you, they are using their country or their citizen taxpayer money. That you have your own citizen in the country that's negotiated and say, okay, we can bring it to our people. And they brought it there. You think it's only Liberia? Because of that, Dr. Gaye has to even transfer some of the goods to the other country. He's aware, he's on the show. You can ask him. He has transferred that. Because of the ineptitude, today we have transferred our businesses to Guinea. And we're also going to open in ADJUNCT. Why should we do that? And any government that do not support smaller business to keep it afloat, that government bound to fall because the economy will struggle. The smaller businesses are the one that stand as the basement, the foundation of the economy, that contribute vehemently to the economy. And if you're not supporting them, you're not supporting your own people, you think about it, the country will not grow.
Yeah.
In Liberia today, we do not have a middle class. Will you believe that? Ghana have a middle class. Nigeria have a middle class. Other African countries around us have middle class. Liberia do not have. It's because of the bitterness of our people.
Has it always been like this after the war, or it's just started due to the change of government?
This change of government, this current government.
Okay.
This current government, I don't really want to use some adjective, but this government, this current government is the problem to herself.
Yeah, to Liberians. So you say that it's either you belong to the elite political class, or everyone,
you belong nowhere.
Everyone is just struggling. Wow.
Or you belong nowhere. You are part of the elite and you belong nowhere. And those of us, from our orientation, our family background, our school of thought, we're not going to do bootlicking. No, we're not. I'm a cheapo. I will not do that.
Are there, now, if you say the elite class, does it also include other businessmen who may be thriving outside the aquarium fishery industry, or is just that it's just the political elite? I just want to get a definition of elite. The elite.
Okay, now listen. If that's going to be the political elites, because if you talk about other businessmen, you have a Chinese company here called Airline fishing company that is operating. Do a Chinese man who left from China have jurisdiction over the regulation, over depriving a Liberian from operating?
No.
I would tell you, hell no.
No, yeah.
Absolute hell no. It's not going to
Let
work.
me add here.
Yes. Now that we're clear with your lines, let's go ahead. I think that we have about 20 more minutes to wrap up. So, Dr. ARETMUS.
You know, he said it well. This is 200 years. Sorry for any noise in the background.
No,
But
we're good.
mentioned. Okay, you see this here in the back? This is what I've been doing for 20 years. When I came as a student at Northwestern, Garrett Evangelical, in Evanston. These are oxygen generators. We receive 50. I believe our foundation have more oxygen generators and oxygen concentrators than the entire country of Liberia. I don't mean to be political. This is what I've been doing for our life. Don't forget that this is, I'm dedicating this day to my great grandfather and the first woman, black woman, to be called a doctor. The oxygen generator. These things fill up an oxygen tank, last for 45 minutes to save a life. I have 50. My nephews, my friends, we just picked them up today. So I was forced to put one here. If you heard any sound, I was trying to lift, my daughter and myself were lifting up one to just put it here. I thought I could travel with them to Liberia, but this is heavy. I never even knew. This way more than my suitcase.
Wow.
The foundation received 50. We also received, through the University of Chicago, a few other institutions, 10,000 J&J vaccination because of letters the foundation wrote. And I used Isabella's name, the first black woman to be called a doctor. And I want to encourage anyone listening to our voice to say, yes, you little black girl, you can be the next medical doctor and do anything you want to do. You can be the next teacher and be anyone you can be, because you know what? You can. And I want to say this tonight. So I'm talking about a country that is ranked the second poorest nation on earth, sometime the fifth, but it was founded 200 years ago by people of color in from these very great United States of America. They went to Liberia. They had the first 4 black doctors that were denied the opportunity to become doctors because the white students at Harvard Medical School said they could not go to medical college because of the 4 black boys. And one of them, Dr. Martin Delaney, won the American Civil War. Say so, say Dr. GAYE, your cousin, say so. He went to Liberia. He became the first black man to receive 21 gun salutes. You know what that means? He got an honor like a president. Google his name tonight, Dr. Martin Delaney. He was denied by white students at Harvard Medical School because he was a black man. But he said, you know what? I can't end the Civil War. I mean, I can't be the doctor of everybody, but I can still do something. He went to Liberia, he was respected. And guess what he did? He did not end. He still is remembered as a doctor. In fact, the foundation with the Gulf of Guinea, we are going to build a medical college. Thank God to our friend, an African-American professor, head of the medical education at Harvard University. We're going to build a medical college in his honor in Liberia, along with Isabella. Wow. So I'm just adding this. This is going to Liberia. There are 50 of them. I thought this was Alingo. I thought this was just about 2 pounds. This is more than 50 pounds.
Wow. Wait. Great point, man. Great. I wish we can just keep going. But because of time, I want us to get some things in there. Thanks you. I mean, I'm so thankful for sharing these powerful stories. And to our audience, let's go to our audience for 1 second. We'll come back to you guys. This is from Eunice Cromwell. Oh my, quite impressive, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE. He said, very devastating. And Johnny Wood says, quite interesting stories. This is from Aliu. Wow, you are such a great son of our country. We didn't know. I think that's what he meant to say. Dr. ARETMUS, Lisa, yesterday you shared information about Thomas Foster's descendants denying their families involvement in enslavement. How could they deny this fact? Isn't it documented? So this one is from Rebecca. She says, Rebecca is watching. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us. This one is from DJ. DJ Kenyan. China's oversearching strategic interest in Africa, like the past colonial partners Africa had, is to have access to natural resources like oil and gas, and to cement their future supply in Africa.
Africa
in countries like Sudan, Angola, Nigeria, and to create a huge African market for Chinese exported goods. Hence, infrastructure it has restructured Chinese economy, hub away from labor-intensive Chinese industries, especially as labor costs in China increase and export China labor to Africa. China seems titled toward political. Okay, I know there was a long comment that was sent in. I don't know. I think that was the one. Okay, we got it. This is from Eunice again, Mr. Lester. What is the way forward, especially with all the things at the port? Exactly. This is the question I wanted to ask Dr. Adamus. Now you said this oxygen you're trying to send into Liberia already. Lester is saying that the one you've sent is locked at the borders of Liberia.
Definitely.
Okay, how are you going to get it in quickly? Because Dr. Adamus, I still want you to tell us a little bit of story. So can you make this for us?
Yeah, no, we want to have to show. I'm going to pay for your airtime for another segment. But this is a situation. I have more oxygen tank to go to Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and some Ghana that we can have. You see this thing? This is an oxygen filler. This is a generator.
Okay.
This thing can fill up for an hour and save someone's life. I lost my auntie Tupi, one of the most educated women. May Auntie Tupi also rest in peace. And others beyond my family line. I'm saying this because I'm hurt. I have these things in Liberia at the port of Monrovia because let's make it clear. I don't belong to no political party. My party is called Liberia. My party is called Africa. My party is called West Africa. My party is called Black people. My party is called Humanity. Don't judge me because you need me to sit and worship you. I never worship. I'm a philosopher. I'm a theologian. I am also a journalist. I love facts. So I speak this because I'm hurt to see that Africa, meaning West Africa, did not have to go into this third wave of death on COVID-19. We were spared from the first and the second wave. We have governments that are ill-prepared. And in a world where there's no creativity, you're going to struggle. I sent those things through the city of Chicago. Let me call this name tonight. It's very important. Mr. Patrick McDermott, a Jamaican American who is so much in love with the first lady of Liberia, Miss Madam Clara Weir. He too is a Jamaican and is a second generation American. And his best friend is Marcus Garvey's son, Dr. Garvey, a medical doctor that I am naming a street in his honor at our university that's going to be built in Liberia. I call it Sankore University, called the Garvey Street. And think about this. Do I really care who the next president? I do care only if that person does not think about the common good. Okay. So I got these things. The United States government, let me add this here quickly. My foundation is one of the few foundations registered with the United States Department of Defense and the Secretary of State to ship any humanitarian equipment any part of the world. We had that letter sent to Liberia to have all equipment sent on an American flight. Our government never responded. Guess what happened? I just wrote the United States government of the same some of the equipment that we just received, about $2.5 million worth of equipment. They're going to be flown to Ghana in the next 3 weeks. Wow. I saw it being in Liberia tomorrow. I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you that. But I canceled my flight because I want to make sure I prepare all of the equipment, including these things. They're going to be flown to Ghana in the next 2 weeks. And then I'm going to make an arrangement through the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Company. We have 2 vessels. One of them, ironically, is named after my great-great-grandmother, Isabella. Am I right?
Isabella. Sure. Isabella.
Isabella is going to pick up these medical equipment from Ghana to Liberia. These are oxygen generators.
And it will be here on the 9th. Saturday. You will arrive from Togo on the 9th to Liberia.
Okay. So you're saying that you were trying to get the things through Ghana into Liberia, right?
Yes, Liberia has been banned by the U.S. government on sending relief items. I just want this to be known. It's on the website. I am registered. I will send you a document for that. The American government cannot send humanitarian supplies to Liberia. Ghana is doing well. They approved me through Buddha Burman Camp. My cousin Gaje Philip Innes and my sister-in-law, they will receive those items that will arrive in Ghana. These oxygen tanks that will save lives.
Okay.
Save lives.
Yeah, it will save
Yes.
lives. And then it will arrive in Ghana, and then it will be taken to Liberia.
By Isabella, by the by the MT Isabella, named after my great-great-grandmother. So
Okay.
all my African-American descendants, I want you to hear this. They will save life, and you can help too, because we're going to send them to Ghana, and Ghana, Monrovia.
No, that's very powerful.
And the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency has two vessels that will arrive in Liberia on the 9th, which is Saturday.
Yes.
And one of them will be prepared to go to Ghana to get this team back to Liberia.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. But ARETMUS, I know, you know what, we'll give it some time. We'll give it some more time, because I mean, this is a powerful moment. It's a powerful day. We just got to sacrifice for it. So we'll keep going for a few more moments. Okay, Dr. ARETMUS, so, yeah. Go ahead and show that. Let's see it.
Yes. These are oxygen regulators.
Right. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
need oxygen.
You were at the verge of connecting that story, your lineage to royal, to the prince royal. I'm tired now. I'm tired. Prince Abdul Rahman. Okay, his royalty, Prince Abdul Rahman. You were brink of that. So please help us. You said you were at the university. You started researching, and then again, give us the Eureka moment. All right, and then help us establish how Liberia was founded.
Thank you. Liberia was founded in the root of Liberia foundation started on December 16, 1816.
It's
Washington, D.C.
I don't know why it's so funny that anytime you were trying to tell this story, the internet begins to cringe. It's just very funny. It's not your headset. I think that for some reason we get these breaks when you're about to make this connection. Please bear with us as we try to get things going with his feed. Dr. ARETMUS, how is it going? Like I said, I don't think it's your thing. It's just okay.
Okay. I'm gonna use my phone.
No,
I think my phone works well.
Okay, so if you swapped it, then that might be the problem.
All right, I'm using my cell phone right now.
Wow, you have been watching the Progressive Mind show with our host, our guest, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, who is helping give us a breakdown of the current states of the country Liberia, establishing the story or the history behind how things went down from 1821 up until this day. We did that in the beginning of the show. We tried to lay the foundation. He gave us a very powerful story. He narrated a very powerful story. Also trying to connect his lineage to Prince Abdul Rahman. He shared the story, mentioned Isabella, the story about Isabella, the first Black female doctor, the first known Black female doctor in this country, according to Dr. ARETMUS, who happens to be his great-great-great-great-grandmother. She was the wife to Prince Abdul Rahman, a prince that was captured and enslaved in this country many, many, many years ago. Please share the feed. We're about to trying to get to the bottom of the topic this evening. His partner and friend Leicester CHEAPOO, who is president and CFO of Gulf Fishing Agency in Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency in Liberia, has also been sharing the story, the challenges, the frustration that they're going through. And if you've just joined us, this has been the discussion so far. We encourage you to share the feed on Facebook and on YouTube. It will be your way of supporting the cause and supporting the struggle of these two gentlemen. It's not just them, right? It's the whole community. and the whole society at large. So Idris Johnson, please help share the feed. Eunice, I can task you to do this. Johnny Woods, share the feed now so I know that you did it. If you don't, Johnny Woods, me and you will have a conversation offline. That was just by the way. We'll go back to our guest and try to get the rest of the story. You're watching the Progressive Mind Show. We'll be back right after this. We're back here. This is the Progressive Mind Show. I'm your host, Alinko. We'll try and go back to our guest, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, and his buddy, L. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. L. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. is also here. ARETMUS, Dr. ARETMUS, can you hear me? Okay, I think you muted yourself. Okay, here we go.
All right. Thank you. So
let's
now, wrap up.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So now let's take it from, again, when, that moment when you discovered the lineage and then the story, the foundation of Liberia.
Thank you. Liberians, like Africans, we are good at rote learning. We learn whatever given to us, we just memorize it.
Right.
But then we are not good at the creativity of it. How do we move what we learn to be creative? Like you, I love what you do because you're a very creative mind. And I love your show, the Progressive Mind Show. There where we lack that opportunity in most part of Africa. But let's move forward to our story here. So I hear this story, I'm doing my research. Think about it, a 19-year-old making $40,000 a year. It's an opportunity, and it was not possible. So I saved my money, and I called my cousin, Barrister UJ Innes. You know him, you call him Gattuso. You know Gattuso?
Gattuso is in the Ghanaian community?
Liberia community, the president of the soccer team.
Yeah, the guy with the dreadlocks.
That's his captain. But you know Gattuso.
Okay.
UJ Innes. Yeah. He's about a few hours away from me, and I bought a car for vacation. I said, UJ, we got a family story. We got to go to Mississippi. We went to Mississippi, and there we drove a car that broke down on us before we could barely get to Kokomo, Indiana. But we still made this trip, and it was one of the most amazing trips. So the history of our country of slavery is also tied to religion. It could be the Presbyterian Church, the Methodist Church, the Baptist Church, the Catholic Church. Get to Mississippi, and we are embraced by a wonderful group of people who want to see these Africans who have come to connect with their descendants.
Okay.
And there we were able to find documents from the courthouse record. How did this old lady, my great-great-grandmother, know her family history? Don't forget, I told you, we are from a place in Liberia called New Georgia. And for some reason, she made it clear she was not, New Georgia was just a name given to the community her family moved to. But she always knew she was from Mississippi. We go there, and the courthouse record basically show a document of Abdul Rahman and Isabella connected to this young man called Simon Rahman, which my great-grandmother never forgot about as her great-great-grandfather.
Okay.
And that connection sealed the story. We did all of the records, and it worked. And I contacted a man called Terry Alford, a historian. And he was able to tell me, yes, he wrote a letter in 1979, left in Mississippi to a lady who is on my foundation and said, if you ever find a descendant of this family, let them know I was doing my research to find them and I want to connect with them. Hear my word, a letter written in 1979. He left it at a plantation of a former slaveholder descendant and said, when you ever find descendant of this prince, please give them this letter. And
Wow.
she was so happy. She is today on our board of directors. Her name is Kathy Moody.
Wow.
And that letter was able to lay bare our family history. Through that process, I was able to find other people who heard the name of the prince or who thought they might have been related to Abdul Rahman and Isabella. And to this day, I was able to connect all of them. My cousins are all over the United States. Margie, wonderful lady. We got to go to Louisiana. The first place Black people landed in the South was a place called Algiers, Louisiana. They are just few minutes away from there. Mississippi, they are there.
How about
And
Jamestown?
Jamestown story is another story. And I will have to do another whole show with you. Because Jamestown story is not the first story. The story actually began 1519 in a place called Stono, South Carolina. A man called Hirado, Gustavo Hirado, the first Black man that came to this United States from Angola via Portugal. He was not an enslaved person. In fact, we had to make the correction. The first group of Africans that came here did not come as enslaved people. They came as conquerors. They were part of the Spanish group of people called the Conquistador. Juan Hirado was one of them. He was part of the movement that captured Mexico. So it's documented in our book called 500 Years, the story of us, US. So I just want to throw that little light there. But again, going back to there, this is how we're able to make that connection to our family route or route.
Right. So now you've made a connection, and last time you shared a story about how African Americans founded Liberia. Or African Americans were the first to go there. There's also the story of Joseph Monroe, who discovered Liberia. So help us establish which one is which.
Good. No white person discovered Africa. Just want to put that there as a fact.
Right. But in the case of Liberia, because it's a special case, people are saying
yes. I love that. That's a good question too. So in 1819, the man who almost got killed by Nat Turner, a freedom fighter, is in our book, 500 Years. 500 Years is going to be turned into a film. And I think it's going to be the greatest film ever made about our story. I definitely believe so.
Are you writing that story?
It's written. It's part of this work called, this is just, you see this?
Yeah.
This is just, there were only 500 copies done. So all got sold. I have the only copy. We changed this. It's called 500 Years. The new version is going to come out. So I'm going to move it now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened is James Monroe was the governor of the state of Maryland. There's a guy called Nat Turner. Nat Turner got fed up with slavery, almost killed the governor because he was trying to get rid of this so-called entanglement of our freedom. But it's another story. But guess what? The same governor that survived became president. But he never forgot the fact that he almost lost his life into an assassination plan by African Americans. So what did he do? When in 1819, he gave $100,000 to the U.S. Congress to form what became an asylum, a place to, because there was an issue in America. America banned slavery in 1814. Britain already did 4 years earlier. So the question was, what do we do with enslaved people being brought over? Sorry, and my sister who wrote, we shouldn't call us slave. Yes, I agree. The enslaved people. So it was told that no one could bring enslaved people anymore to America. So the question was, there were still people being brought over. So the question, what do we take them?
Right.
There's a famous book called The Antelope. I'm going to just give you 1 second. Let me show you.
Okay. So he's trying to show us a book concerning the story he's narrating. Okay. Let me see. Let's see if we can see it. The Antelope. Okay.
Yeah, The Antelope.
Written
That was
by
ever by John T. Noonan.
Okay.
He's
All
a
right.
friend of he's dead. Former Supreme Court, former Circuit Court Justice of California. Wonderful Roman Catholic guy.
Okay.
He and I were to do this at a PBS film. And I promised him I would do it.
Okay.
This is what founded Liberia.
This is what founded Liberia?
This spirit.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Yes. It took an incident to create a domino effect. This is a story that actually involved the man who wrote the national anthem of the United States, Francis Scott Key. He was the lead lawyer to defend, for the first time in American history, that Africans were defended at the U.S. Supreme Court under the Court of Justice Monroe ever in American history. This
okay, we want to see you now. Yeah, good. Yeah, we want to see you now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So
yeah.
I'm giving this background of this wonderful book.
Right. So
yeah.
So in that, it wasn't Joseph Monroe. It was how did So I wanted to, can we get to it again? How?
It was yeah, sure. So what happened is this case, the 1816. In 1816, so what happened? 17 of the most powerful Americans, of which 7 became president, 5 became justices, and other became or Secretary of States of the great United States of America. Gathered in a Washington tavern, or basically a tavern means a place where we can go and drink beer.
Yeah,
and liquor.
Bar, something like that. Yeah,
a bar. You know, Africa. Yeah, a bar. Yeah, these guys decided to form. They were deciding what do we do and get. Let me be honest with the story. Some of them have had kids by these enslaved women, and there was an issue on the plantations about the wealth. How do we share our wealth? Can I have my mixed race kid sharing wealth with my pure white kids? It was a serious issue. So the guy met there,
right,
and said, "Hey, we need to find a place where we can send every one of them there."
Okay.
And that what created the formation of Liberia, the decision to take away people of mixed race, people of color out of this country, and how Liberia started.
Okay.
And for that reason, we now have the country called Liberia. And
so,
go ahead.
And so the ship that transported, conveyed, let's put it that way.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to find, the word for it, but yeah, but the ship that took this black people back to Africa was captained by Joseph Monroe. Is that correct?
No, it was not captained by him.
Okay.
It was actually captained by 2 white guys. One was a U.S. Navy officer and a pastor.
So where did Joseph Monroe play in that story?
Monroe, the President Monroe played his role. So Monroe became president. He never forgot his story that if it were not about gossip, African were good at gossiping. Roman. So I told the story, he would not been alive today. Maybe I will not be alive too today because I leave that to part of the narrative.
Right.
So what happened is Monroe, when he became president, the 5th American president, he approved a $100,000 grant to form an asylum in Africa. And that asylum was put into what we now know today as Liberia. So he gifted Liberia through the act of an addition. This is the name of the law or the statute. The act of addition. $100,000. and all of the lawmakers in the United States signed it because they were fed up. They were afraid. Yes, of these mixed race kids. Basically, they were afraid of Obama. Let me just say this word. Yes, I just want it to be said.
Yeah, because they were getting predominantly more.
Yes, exactly.
The number of black people were growing, and so they needed to get rid of some. Was this before enslaved people were declared free? Was this before the proclamation
way
of
before this, way before the end of slavery, way before the end of slavery?
Okay.
So this is almost
So this was in the 18th century.
This is 1816. The decision to form Liberia formed in 1816.
Great.
So all of the you call in Ghana you say they are shower boys or the bar boys, or in Liberia we call them the Guinea boys. Who think they're the sugar daddies, because they were basically the sugar daddies. They have had kids here and there, but they were the powerful of the society. How do we send our illegal kids out of this country? That was the issue.
Got you. So all this was sent to Liberia. Then Liberia became a country, full of African Americans.
Exactly, exactly African American. And there were two groups of African Americans: the light skin, or the what we use the word mulattoes, or the mixed race. Our President Obama, the Obamas, or the Jesse Jackson. Let me just say it that way.
I see. Yeah.
Yes.
So
that was the country. Yes.
And so who was governing these people?
The mixed race. Don't forget that there was a pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, in our African American history, we always talk about the brown bag.
Yeah.
The lighter you are, that's the higher you become in the pyramid. Am I right?
In the society, right. The more you're regarded in the society, the lighter you are. Okay. So so at this point, these people have been transferred. These people have been moved to Liberia, and so they started being governed by the lighter of skin.
Exactly.
Okay. And they basically formed their own type of government, and so they were not headed at any point in time by a white man. No.
Okay. The original group, like the interim government, was the interim body. We're all white boys. They were in charge. All white guys, young guys, 22 years old, 24-year-old, Juhiru Ashman, a guy who is tied to Yale University, the third most powerful university in the United States. There is a street called Yale Street at Yale University. I love him because his story is very powerful too. But I just want to add this here in this discussion because Ashburn was a 24-year-old guy. His wife became the first white woman, as we know, documented to die in Africa.
Okay.
His wife, a 23-year-old girl called Mary, was the first white woman documented in the West African region that at least we know died in Africa.
Do you know if he died by malaria?
Oh, my brother, tell me about it. You know how malaria.
Oh man, look, this conversation can go on and on and on.
I know. But
let's try and get to the movie that you are working on, to depict all the story that you were sharing, which would be a very powerful movie. You also mentioned how Amazon Prime is using your story, or at least a story of your family, your family history, and you are not being paid any royalty, or you guys are not getting any royalty. Is it just you, or none of your family members are getting royalties? You are aware of?
None of my family members. I'm going to unsubscribe to it but it's good. We're happy for the promotion because the aim of us. Thank you. That's a beautiful question. My aim is to help all of us to do our project that matter to Africa, to matter to African Americans, to matter to the Caribbean Americans, everybody. Because you know why? Our story is important part of the meta narrative.
Okay.
I say this because why? The book and the film we are doing right now will help all of us connect to who we are.
Mm.
I want our kids here, we're going to birth here in Africa, wherever, to say yes. We too have a responsibility to tell the story of the enslavement. I never say the slavery of our the slavery story, but the enslavement of our people. Because our people were always free. Were always free. Our death is a form of slavery, though, but we're always free. It was about how this form of the transatlantic slavery, and also, let me add here, the slavery that took place in East or the Mediterranean community, what we know as the Arab world. Those two forms of slaveries were very horrible.
Okay.
They're where we were dehumanized as Black people.
Wow. Okay. Let's try and get CHEAPOO, if you're still with us. This is a question. Okay, I want us to respond to this question quickly so we can close we can try and end the conversation in the next 5 minutes. Dr. ARETMUS, why is Liberia stopping life-saving equipment to be sent into the country? Basically, is what she's asking. God bless your efforts for life-saving equipment to our dear Liberians. And let me take the last one. This is thanks to our great sons of the soil for such informative history. This is from Mr. Lester. What's the way forward, especially with all the things at the port? Dr. ARETMUS. Okay, go ahead, Dr. ARETMUS, and then let's
let me say this, and then I will let's just take the rest of the 3 minutes. You know, it's saddening because the first group of Africans that moved, especially from this continent, from the USA, were merchants, were seafarers. Joseph Roberts, the first president of Liberia, those guys used the sea routes. So that's why I'm so proud of my brother and I'm Lester CHEAPOO, whose history is so tied to Liberia growth and progress. The fact that our African brothers and sisters that have left from this continent, the United States, Canada, were seafarers, were merchants. They used the route of the sea to make wealth. They stopped selling their brothers and sisters. Instead, they said, we're going to sell our commodities, oil, hemwood, or piassava, or timbers to the Western world. They were shipbuilders. So when Lester and myself met 2 years ago, when he told me about the Gulf of Guinea, I said, Lester, do you know that when the story of Africa is told from Senegal to Angola, it's called the Gulf of Guinea? And he formed a fishing company called the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Company to learn the fact that our fish, our pelagics are being sold to Europeans who are seeing it. I said, now we no longer can be sold. Is it possible for us to make some funds from there so that we get young men and women the opportunity to work?
Right.
And he said, ultimately, it can happen. But when our leaders become part of the cohort and decide that they are very narrow-minded, that it takes a European to take all of our fishes and take them, when our brothers and sisters, our pap, our uncles, our great-great-great-great-grandfather, like Abdul Rahman, were taken as commodities to Europe and to the New World. Now we turn our seas, our waters, to the same Europeans to take them to Europe and sell. That hurts me. And this is the 2nd anniversary of the formation of MONROVIA. When those 88 young men and women, I hear the word, 88 young men and women sailed on February 15, 1821, to leave from these shores, from New York to Baltimore, Baltimore to Sierra Leone to Monrovia. And half of them died for us not to capture this story and to know that in this age when my African American brothers and sisters should be welcome in any part of Africa, to own any land, to own any business. And we are still asking ourselves, can I win the next election? That, for me, is an unethical, and for me, such person does not deserve to be in leadership. I rest my case on this remark.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lester, please.
Yeah. I want to say thank you again. I highly appreciate it. I'm glad being here. It's an honor being here with you people, great people, and to all of our listeners. I want to say thanks for the time, and it is. But somebody asking us the problem, what is the way forward? Okay. Sincerely, I cannot be able to tell you the way forward because the way forward doesn't lie in our hands. If it was, by this time, it could have been there. Okay? If it was, by this time, it could have. We could have executed. We are willing to work. We are willing to contribute to the growth and development of our country. We are willing to save life. We are willing to give job opportunity to people. Today, we have been stagnated. Okay? Everything that I have ever worked for during my young age, today have been put behind a project. And everything today gone. I have spent almost 1.5 million US dollars. Or to the extent that even when Dr. GAYE came in, who is our vice president, now, the Isabella Foundation had to make some contributions. Up to now, we have not even gotten the solutions. The only solution we had was to take our business to another neighboring country for sustainability, for survival. So our company now in Liberia is on life support. It's on life support. So, and we don't have a stable current. So just know that the company is going to die. I'm just saying.
We're not going to make it die. It's not going to die. We're going to help to get it up.
It's on life support. How can we will fight to get it up? That's the reason why we are navigating now to another place. What happened with the medical things that is in the country when we are dying from oxygen?
I'll be there next week. We're going to get it out.
You understand? The only thing now, we will have to look for money from outside. Other people will have to contribute to us to be able to get it. But the government is not helping. Now, that look at it the bigger way. Today, once it comes back to the country, we get it from the border and comes into the country, you know what's going to happen next? There's a possibility that our own government will not support us because they are not the one that get it off. The only thing they need from us is that we should get it off and turn it over to them. After Dr. GAYE and the foundation have spent and continue to spend money, cost almost 15 to 20,000 US dollars to free the goods, medical things for the country. Then you say we should turn it over to you. So once we refuse, what's going to happen? They will still stagnate us. They will still put us on something.
Wow.
So I can say to you and our audience that the question posed to me that what is the way forward? Probably you can check in your closet, check around and help us with the way forward. But from our standpoints here, definitely we don't know because it is our own country, our government and people who are killing us.
Right. But Dr. GAYE, Dr. ARETMUS GAYE just gave you his word that he's coming next week. He's going to help get those situations sorted out. He just said that he's not going to let it go. He's not going to let it die. And, there's something about words, something about the power behind words, even if he, of course, it's not a president, but he knows what he's saying. And for the fact that he's let those words out, the universe will make sure that it brings it to pass. And so, definitely, we can also assure you, we can also be positive and support what he just said, that the company, the Gulf of Guinea Fishing Agency, is not going to go down. The stuff that is locked up at the airports are going to be released. The people of Liberia will get help. And we are hopeful that the president, George Weah, will do good by his people. We've had challenges with some African leaders, but it will not be permanent. Things will change for the continent of Africa and its people. we will take this few points, few comments that have come through, and then we'll have you guys give us your last words, and then we can try to bring the show to its closing. Are there websites? You all have websites, right? For the fishing, the Gulf of Fishing, the Gulf of Guinea fishing. There's a website for it. Lester.
No, we haven't created a website.
Okay, so but it's in the works. It works. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know Dr. GAYE. I know Dr. ARETMUS. He that's how you operate. So I know that the website is definitely in the works. So we'll share that information. Aliu said the way forward is better education that the Liberian youth are lacking.
Right.
Excellent. We need more of that. DJ Kenya says we know the way forward. Erica will shine.
I think you were talking about Africa.
Yeah. That's true. Africa will shine. We know the way forward. Thank you so much, DJ Kenya. It was actually a blessing listening to these three great sons of Liberia. Much love, patriots, and we wish to have many sons and daughters like you with such bright and conscious mindset. Thank you so much, Aliu. You are one of those great patriots. Why? Because you are here. You spend almost 3 hours or past 3 hours supporting this. And this is all we need. Sometimes that's all some of us can do. Not all of us can be in the front lines like Dr. GAYE and Jay Lester, but just being in the back and supporting anywhere we can, contributes and goes a long way. So thank you so much, Aliu, for being part of this. Real so far for Liberia, but I don't blame the sitting president, only the citizens as they elect ignorant as a leader. Ignorant has always considered intellectual as its enemies. That's Liberia's problem today.
He just said it right.
Thank you
he
so
couldn't
much.
have said it any more better than that.
No, you see, Dr. ARETMUS, what you are sharing is no different from what folks in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, other African countries are experiencing. Okay, when we get them on the set, they share the same sentiment. The problems are the same, and so it would take us, it would take you guys, and some of these informed folks, to keep talking, to keep engaging, and the young ones to change the fortunes of Africa. Rose Darling has been watching us. Christopher Angba has been watching. Constance Berkum, Ashia has been with us. Principal Fetus Maslanka, Eunice Cromwell, of course, Yvonne Ajiman Boateng. If I missed your name, please forgive me. I'm trying to get everyone that has been watching so far. It's been great and very informative. Thank you. I'll just have my honorable guest give us your last words. Dr. ARETMUS GAYE, I know this is not, of course, we're going to have series of these things, but for today, you've blessed us with a lot of information. But help us close us with your last words and how people can get in touch with you, website, any type of information that you want to put out there. Please go ahead and do so.
Thank you. Let me not. We spent it's great. 3.5 hours almost. So let me leave you with 2 words, with 2 rules. I've always done this. Thank you. Let me mention my sister, Eunice Cromwell, the Nunu family, for listening in. And I tell you this because, Eunice, I'm going to leave that there. You show what it means to be Pan-Africanist. You show what it means to be connected beyond boundaries. And let me never give up on what you want to do. No government, no religion, no ethnicity, no language should stop you from being who you are. Remember these 2 rules. To all my family, Margie, Allegra, everybody from the South of America, the antebellum South, hear this word. Whatever you want to do in life, do it. But these are 2 rules you should follow. Rule number 1, don't give up. And rule number 2, always remember rule number 1. God bless you.
Wow, that was powerful. God bless you too. God bless you too. And we have come to the end of the show. Again, pardon me if I have not noticed or been able to mention your name. It's not intentional. It's just that I'm trying to get the ones that I see here. Collins Ankoba also just joined us. Thank you so much, Collins Ankoba. Well, we want to thank you, our amazing guests, Dr. Artemus GAYE, the great-great-grandson, the one who has direct lineage to the Royal Prince Abdul Rahman. For being on the show, also J. Lester CHEAPOO Jr. For honoring our show this evening in spite of the difficulties. I think we lost him last minute, so he couldn't give us his last words. But you definitely blessed us this evening and shared a lot of information. So Lester, we really appreciate you wherever you are. We are with you in spirit, helping, supporting you to achieve all this great vision and projects that you have for the great people of Liberia. Liberia has a rich history and culture, and we here at Progressive Minds, with the help of our guests and you all, our audience, are very honored to have listened to this story being shared. Great guest, thank you so much for being for coming on the show. For more information about the projects Dr. Artemus and Lester CHEAPOO are working on, we will be sharing the websites on our social media pages, the Progressive Mind social media pages, as we get them. But Dr. Artemus is also on Facebook. If you look up Dr. Artemus GAYE on Facebook, you will find him. He has a lot of information there regarding his history and some of the projects that he's on. So please feel free to do so. And then, okay, we have some last comments coming through. Okay, so I'll just take Eunice. Eunice says, powerful. And she says that, thank you, SENAALINCO. Awesome show. Thank you so much, Eunice. 3.5 hours is no joke. You have been on the show the whole time. Eunice, you are awesome. And I'm sure while she's watching, she's multitasking. She's doing other things.
Oh, yeah.
She gets a lot done at the same time. I don't know what kind of magic woman you are, but everybody knows Eunice Cromwell as the magic one. She makes things happen. So thank you. Aliu says, wow, you are great, sir. God bless you, doctor. And this is God bless you, Mr. Lester. And that would be those are our last comments for this evening. And if you want to continue watching, if you missed any part of the show, or maybe some of your friends you wanted to get to or were not available, you can go on social media, the Progressive Mind Show on Facebook, YouTube. Watch the rest of the show next week. We shall be here this coming Sunday. We will not have a show because we will be watching the Euro 2020 finals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, England and what do you call it?
Italy.
And Italy. Yeah. Hey, DJ Kenya, thank you. Good night too. It's gonna be a wonderful game. So we're not doing the Sunday show, but we shall be here next week, Wednesday. And so please make a date with us. Of course, we shall be updating you on our social media platforms. Thank you so much to the Progressive Minds family for joining us this evening. We shall definitely see you on our next episode. And again, Dr. Artemus GAYE will definitely talk offline. It's been a pleasure having you again. God bless.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your favorite host with the #1 community building show in the world, the Progressive Minds. God willing, we shall be here next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. CST. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.